Where are you, Sanskar? Are you
I'm
on
on
the way?
campus, sir. I'm on the
Okay.
campus.
कति कर आउँछ बाबु?
After class.
Okay. Okay. Hello, Babuji. How are you? Namaste, namaste, namaste. के हुँदैछ टेक्सासतिर?
टेक्सासतिर जाडो छ सर। म त लगभग 3 हप्ता जस्तो भयो बिरामी परेर।
Oh, really?
हजुर, यो खोकी लागेर एकदमै मलाई यसरी कहिले पनि खोकी लागेको थिएन है फर्स्ट टाइम। म त बिरामी भन्दा त्यस्तो बेड बला पनि होइन तर त्यो
कन्टिन्युस खोकी आयो भने एकदम झ्याउ हुन्छ नि।
म त राम्ररी पढ्न पनि पाएको छैन, काम पनि ठिकै भइरहेछ तर ठिकै छ। वेदरै होला।
तपाईँ डालसमा हैन तपाईँ?
हजुर हो।
चिसो होला नि त अहिले, यहाँ त यस्तो चिसो छ अहिलेमा।
चिसो सर, यहाँ आज 29 मा झरेको थियो। अनि यता मेरो घरतिर चाहिँ फेरि यो डालसतिर भन्दा चाहिँ हामीले भेटेको भन्दा 2 डिग्री कम हुन्छ फेरि। 2-3 डिग्री कम हुन्छ यहाँ 30 माइल यतातिर आउँदा। यहाँ टेक्सासको चाहिँ यो विन्ड एकदम नराम्रो छ यहाँ। खास चिसो आफैमा त प्रब्लम होइन। यता नर्थतिर त्यो हिउँ परेपछि एकदमै त्यो चिसो हावा आउँछ खास टेक्सासमा। अनि त्यसले चाहिँ एकदम त्यो
किनभने त त्यहाँ पहाडहरू हिल्सहरू छैन नि त रोक्नलाई, अनि त ओपन फिल्ड भयो हैन?
हजुर, यता फेरि वेस्ट टेक्सास चाहिँ डेजर्ट हो। त्यो वेस्ट टेक्सास हुँदै उता क्यालिफोर्नियासम्मै जान्छ नि त। त्यो भएर यताको चिसो हावा चाहिँ यता वेस्ट टेक्सास जान्छ। हामी चाहिँ बीच बाटोमा पर्छौँ हावाको।
Of course, yeah. Okay, ring 0 मा हाल्दैछ मलाई. What happened? Okay. So ल तपाईहरुलाई लिंक शेयर गर्छु भनेको बल्ल याद आयो मलाई एकैछिन है. कहाँ राखे मैले लिंक. So यो फ्राइडे बेलुका हाम्रो 5 बजे we are doing graduation ceremony. So तपाईहरुको पनि नाम एनाउन्स हुन्छ त्यहाँ. यो जोइन गर्दाखेरि is a link. So तपाईले यो लिंक सेभ गरेर राख्नु होला है, च्याटमा पठाइदिन्छु. एक्चुअली यहाँ सबैजनालाई पठाउनु पर्छ मैले यो. राइट. कतातिर गयो सिएनै होइन. Okay. All right. यो सबैलाई पठाउँदैछु एकैछिन.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Ani okay, so to graduation live link पठाउँथ्यो. Avigya, you can watch live link of यसपालि you are not able to participate because you are very very far away in Nepal. कस्तो भइराछ नेपालको बसाइ?
ठिकै छ दा, बिजी भइराखेको छ. के त्यस्तो फन केही पनि भएको छैन, तर अनुजको बिहा सक्यो.
Good. That's a major achievement, हैन? Yeah. Okay. Awesome. All right. आज चाहिँ हाम्रो अब लास्ट डे हो. हामी घड्दा 6-7 जना मात्र छौं क्लासमा हैन. दिस इज नर्मल. मान्छेहरुको आफ्नो प्रायोरिटिजहरु हुन्छ. लास्ट डे भनेर कति जना बिजी पनि हुनु भयो होला. एनीवे, सो आज चाहिँ what I want is तपाईहरुले के गर्नु भएको छ, होमवर्क असाइनमेन्टहरु के डेमोन्स्ट्रेसन गर्न मिल्छ हैन. अब हामीले तपाईहरुलाई कोर्स कम्प्लिसन सर्टिफिकेट पनि we will send you digitally. तपाईहरुले चाहिँ CVS मा गएर अथवा कस्टोमा गएर मजाले प्रिन्ट पनि गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ. So you will get that certificate maybe next week सम्ममा पठाउँछ मलाई. We are अलिकति बिजी भइरहेको छ इभेन्टमा. So if you guys want to show off whatever you have learned, anything you have created, this would be a time to show off because that is something you did. If not, then I will ask Sanskar and Navigya to look into the syllabus and see हामीले के क्लोज आउट गर्न बाँकी छ. लेट्स क्लोज आउट द्याट एन्ड I would like to say, but before I say anything, केही छ तपाईले गर्नुभएको देखाउन मिल्ने अथवा anything you want to talk about, सिकेर के achievement गर्नुभएको छ, के learn गर्नुभएको छ, के implement गर्नुभएको छ, anything you want to talk about? I just want to open the floor.
मैले सुरु गरेँ.
Sure.
इम्प्लिमेन्टेसन वाइज चाहिँ मेरो काममा त्यस्तो धेरै एक्सेस छैन हैन. मैले सबैसँग सेयर पनि गरेको थिएँ. हाम्रो त्यो डिसेबल गरेको छ यो एजेन्टहरू बनाउने जुन क्रिएट एजेन्ट गर्ने अप्सनहरू छैन. त्यही पनि अब अहिले मेरो टिममा चाहिँ इन अ वे रिफरेन्स पर्सन जस्तै भएको छु म चाहिँ एआई को कुरा गर्नु पर्यो भने.
Very nice.
खास गरी यो सेयर पोइन्ट एडमिन साइडमा भएको हुँदाखेरि पनि अनि माई म्यानेजर वाज लाइक यु सुड बी द कन्ट्याक्ट पोइन्ट. हामीलाई चाहिँ यो कोपाइलटको स्पेसली कोपाइलट नै छ हाम्रोमा. त्यो हुँदा पनि उहाँले चाहिँ यु सुड बी गाइडिङ अरू टिम मेम्बर्सलाई चाहिँ भन्नुभएको छ.
Very good.
आई थिङ्क द्याट्स बिग अचिभमेन्ट. अनि त्यो कन्फिडेन्स चाहिँ यही क्लासबाट आएको अनेस्टली. किनभने योभन्दा अगाडि मलाई एआईको खासै त्यस्तो एक्सपिरियन्स पनि थिएन. अब कोपाइलट यो च्याट जिपिटी त्यही गुगलभन्दा एक लेभल अप माथिको भनेर त्यही चलाइराखेको थियो होइन. अब इन्फर्मेसन रिट्रिभ गर्न सजिलो अनि क्विक हुने अनि रिलेभेन्ट इन्फर्मेसनहरू पाउने भएको हुँदा त्यति नै थियो. कामैमा चाहिँ आइ एम ट्राइङ टु स्विच द टिम. अब आई डोन्ट नो त्यो पोसिबिलिटी चाहिँ अब कस्तो छ. अहिले जब मार्केट त्यति राम्रो पनि छैन. अनि इन्टरनल्ली यताउता स्विच गर्न फेरि गाह्रो कुरा रहेछ. यो बाहिरबाट हायर गर्न प्रिफर गर्ने धेरै देखियो. त्यो चाहिँ स्टिल आइम ट्राइङ. हेरौँ. अब मेरो आफ्नो एक्सपिरियन्समा चाहिँ इट वाज वन्डरफुल लर्निङ. अब आफ्नो साइडबाट चाहिँ आई कुड नट गिभ माई 100%. जे सोचेको थिएँ त्यो चाहिँ हुनु पाएन. पछिल्लो टाइममा चाहिँ हेल्थले एकदमै सपोर्ट गरेन. फर अबाउट 3 weeks नै भयो. झन् यो जुन मलाई धेरै इन्ट्रेस्ट लागेको उसमा चाहिँ झन् बढी नै गर्न पाइएन. तर एनिवेज त्यो लर्निङ चाहिँ इट्स इन्क्रेडिबल. एकदमै इन्भ्यालुएबल कुरा हो यो चाहिँ. अब एभ्री वान नोज होइन. आजै पनि हाम्रो टेक्नोलोजी हेडको चाहिँ आस्क मी एनिथिङ भनेर एएमए क्युएनए सेसन थियो. त्यसमा चाहिँ सी अगेन हाइलाइटेड एआई गन बी द इन्टरगल पार्ट अफ अब वेल्स फार्गो ब्याङ्किङ सेक्टरमा चाहिँ यु सुड लर्न अर यु गन बी लाइक आई थिङ्क सी युज द वर्ड कोड्याक कि त कोड्याक जस्तो हुनु भयो. एल्स यु इदर यु लर्न अर यु गन बी कोड्याक भनेर भनेको थियो. त्यही नै हो मेरो आफ्नो एक्सपिरियन्स. थ्याङ्क्स फर द अपर्च्युनिटी. यति सर्ट पिरियडमा पनि यति धेरै कुराहरू लर्न गर्नु पाइयो.
Sure. Of course. Okay, thank you, Babuji. Aru, Ikesh, Subodh, Ves, Ashish, anything you want to share? Okay, you can present.
प्रेजेन्ट भन्नाले अघि बाबु सरले भनेपछि लास्टको 3-4 विक्सबाट अलिक धेरै टाइम दिन चाहिँ पाइएन होइन. जुन टाइममा दिनुपर्ने हो. हजुर एआई फाउन्ड्री एउटा इन्फर्मेसन दिन चाहन्छु कि यो मेरो कम्पनीमा चाहिँ को पाइलटको लाइसेन्स थियो. मैले अप्लाई पनि गरेको थिएँ. तर अब यो विकदेखि चाहिँ को पाइलट हटाएर च्याट जिपिटी एन्टरप्राइज ल्याउँदैछ.
ओके.
अब त्यो कस्तो हुन्छ. त्यो मोडल र यो मोडल सिमिलर नै छ नि.
एकदम एउटा बुझेपछि खालि बटन्स मात्रै फरक हो. कन्सेप्ट सेम नै हो के. फरक पर्दैन त्यो. अहिले खालि डिफरेन्स के छ भने च्याट जिपिटी युज गर्यो भने चाहिँ आई थिङ्क च्याट जिपिटीले च्याट जिपिटीको ओपन एआई मोडल मात्रै युज गर्छ. अब तपाईँलाई भोलि क्लाउड युज गर्नु पर्ला, जेमिनाई युज गर्नु पर्ला अथवा ग्रक मोडल युज अरू कम्पनीहरूको डिफ्रेन्ट मोडल रन गर्नु पर्यो भने आई थिङ्क च्याट जिपिटीले दिँदैन होला. उनीहरूको आफ्नै मोडल भएको हुनाले. तर माइक्रोसफ्टको चाहिँ अब ओपन भयो नि त
होइन. तर हामीलाई चाहिँ के भनेछ भनेदेखि सिइओले नै भनेको कनेक्टरहरू हुन्छ अरे. अनि हाम्रो आउटलुकदेखि लिएर माइक्रोसफ्टको सबै प्रोडक्टहरूमा कनेक्ट गर्न मिल्छ भनेर भनेको थियो च्याट जिपिटी.
यस्तो हो. सिम्पल भाषामा भन्छु है. अस्ति मेरो भाइले उसले टेस्ला मोडल वाइ छ क्या. अनि अहिले 2 वर्ष भयो पुरानो किनेको. अनि अहिलेको टेस्ला मोडल वाइमा चाहिँ त पछाडिपट्टि स्क्रिन आएछ. तपाईँले याद गर्नुभएको छ कि छैन नयाँ मोडल वाइमा. अनि पुरानोमा चाहिँ त्यो पछाडिपट्टिको सिटमा तल सानो हुन्छ नि. तपाईँको मोडल वाइ छ कि छैन. त्यहाँ एउटा स्क्रिन राख्ने ठाउँ थियो क्या. अनि पुरानो गाडीमा थिएन. अनि मेरो भाइले के गरेछ भने त्यो हुन्छ आफ्टर मार्केट त्यो चाइनिज स्टोरमा गएर ठ्याक्क मिल्ने खालको त्यहाँ उसले हाल्यो क्या लुक्स द सेम अनि तर त्यहाँबाट वाइफाई कनेक्ट हुँदैन रहेछ त्यहाँबाट चाहिँ कन्ट्रोल हुँदैन रहेछ त्यहाँबाट युट्युब कनेक्ट हुँदैन रहेछ या सर्टेन थिङ गर्न मिल्छ तर सबै नेटिभली गाडीसँग इन्टरेक्ट गर्दैन रहेछ त्यो जुन मोडल वाइमा बिल्ट इन जुन आउँछ त्यसमा चाहिँ यु क्यान कन्ट्रोल इन्टायर कार फ्रम द्याट एसीदेखि लिएर सबै कुरा कन्ट्रोल गर्न मिल्छ सो यसको पोइन्ट के भने yes ChatGPT has connectors and API and all that stuff but native integration भनेको नेटिभै हो क्या you can't beat with that अब अहिले तपाईँहरूलाई थाहा हुँदैन भोलि पर्सि हेर्नु यस्तो हाम्रो कस्टमरहरू नेटिभ ChatGPT-मा गएर फेरि होइन यो त कनेक्टरबाट राम्रो एक्सपिरियन्स हुँदैन रहेछ भने फेरि फर्केर आउँछ इट्स अ साइकल अनि कतिजनालाई त कस्तो हुन्छ यो डिसिजन मेकरहरू हुन्छ नि इट्स नट यु एन्ड अस के इट्स मेकिङ एक्जिक्युटिभ लेभलमा डिसिजन हुन्छ अनि एक्जिक्युटिभ लेभलले कसरी डिसिजन गर्छ इट्स नट अबाउट हाउ यु गना फिल इट्स अल अबाउट हाउ मच मनी दे क्यान सेभ है अब ChatGPT-ले मेबी उनीहरूको रिलेसनसिप थियो होला सस्तोमा थियो होला ओर यु नो हाउ मच हि लर्न किनभने ChatGPT चाहिँ मान्छेले घरमा पहिला सिकिसकेको थियो नि त कोपाइलट आउनु भन्दा र कोपाइलट घरमा युज टेक्निकली कसैले गर्दा नि गर्दैन सबैले ChatGPT नै मुखमा ल्याउँछ नि होइन पहिला जुम मुखमा आउँथ्यो नि टिम्स त आउँदैन थियो नि होइन पहिला यो कोभिडको टाइममा जुम मिटिङ गर्ने भन्थ्यो अनि जुम मिटिङ भनेपछि भिडियो अन गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने फेरि एउटा त्यो कल्चर बसिसकेको थियो सो दिज आर द थिङ्स इट ड्राइभ्स द कम्पनीज बट द पोइन्ट इज इट वर्क्स बट नट द वे हामीले जति क्लासमा फ्लुइड तरिकाले जुन चलाएको छौँ नि त्यस्तो फ्लुइड चाहिँ हुँदैन अब तपाईँले भोलि एजेन्टिक एआईमा जानुभयो भने अनि एआईको कस्टम एजेन्टहरू बनाउनु पर्यो भने उनीहरूको जुन स्टुडियोमा बसेर काम गर्दा आई मिन कन्सेप्ट भेरी सेम होइन तपाईँको इन्स्ट्रक्सन्स दिनु पर्यो इन्स्ट्रक्सन्स लेख्ने ठाउँ हुनु पर्यो कनेक्टर जोड्ने ठाउँ हुनु पर्यो डेटा कनेक्सन्स गर्नु पर्यो एपिआई गर्नु पर्यो कनेक्टर गर्नु पर्यो त्यो सबै कुराहरू गरेर एआई एजेन्ट बन्यो चाहे कोपाइलट होस् चाहे एआई फाउन्ड्री होस् जेमिनाई होस् इट हेज टु हेभ इन्स्ट्रक्सन्स you know triggers actions त्यही हो अब नाम फरक हुन सक्छ बट इट्स जस्ट अ डिफरेन्ट ब्रान्ड अफ कार के दुईटा कार डिफरेन्ट ब्रान्ड भने जस्तो त्यही भएर मैले सुरुदेखि भन्थेँ नि डोन्ट थिङ्क यु लर्निङ कोपाइलट यु लर्निङ एज अ प्लेटफर्म हाउ एआई वर्क्स एन्ड हाउ एजेन्टिक एआई वर्क्स त्यो यति बुझ्नुभयो भने पृथ्वी जतिसुकै जे भेरिएसन आए पनि तपाईँलाई केही फरक पर्दैन
हुन्छ सर थ्याङ्क यू
Yeah, don't think you learn Copilot. You always think you learn AI and how AI works. हामीले Copilot एउटा टुल मात्र युज गरेको. Okay. Ikes, Vase. Okay, Vase go raise hand. Okay, Vase, go on. Vase.
So मेरो क्यामेरा देखिन है
something came out.
मैले आज अनुहार हजुरलाई देखाइदिउँ भनेर अन्तिम दिन सरहरूलाई चाहिँ मेरो चाहिँ एकदम हृदयबाट नै प्रणाम है अब यो जिन्दगीमा हजुरहरू मेरो सर भनेर आउनुभयो अब प्रिन्सिपलको रूपमा अब समीर सर आउनुभयो संस्कार सर आउनुभयो अभिज्ञ सर आउनुभयो अनि आशिष सर पनि आउनुभयो अनि त्यस्तै अब मेरो सिनियरहरूमा मैले मानेका सिनियरहरूमा चाहिँ होइन सबै उहाँहरू सबै मेरो सिनियरहरू हो विशेष गरी बाबु देवकोटा सरलाई चाहिँ धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद उहाँले मलाई धेरै गाइड गर्नुभएको थियो अफ टाइममा पनि थ्याङ्क यू सो मच होइन अनि मेरो चाहिँ खास उद्देश्य भनेको चाहिँ यसमा चाहिँ त्यस्तो केही पनि थिएन अब म चाहिँ आइटीको ब्याकग्राउन्ड पनि होइन अनि अब नेपालबाट यता आएपछि अब आउनु त भयो मेरो 10 साल जति भयो तर म अहिले स्टिल आइएम अन द प्रोसेस फर एभ्रिथिङ केही पनि भएको छैन त्यही पनि मैले चाहिँ अब यो टाइमलाई चाहिँ अलिकति युटिलाइज गरौँ अब सबैले एआई कुरा गर्छन् के रहेछ त एआई भनेर चाहिँ बुझ्न खोजेको थिएँ अनि त्यसमा चाहिँ मैले धेरै नै नलेज लिएँ सर अब मैले जति गरी अब होमवर्क गरिनँ होला लाइक धेरै कुराहरू मैले गरिनँ होला त्यही पनि एटलिस्ट मैले चाहिँ धेरै कुरा सिकेँ जस्तो लाग्छ सर अनि कतिपय कुराहरू चाहिँ मैले आफ्नै अहिले म चाहिँ दुईटै स्टेटमा अप एन्ड डाउन गरेर हुन्छु न्युयोर्क र कनेक्टिकटमा अनि कनेक्टिकटमा एउटा मोडल छ त्यसमा चाहिँ एज अ म्यानेजर गरिरहेको छु गर्न चाहिँ अब त्यसको लागि चाहिँ मलाई एउटा चाहिँ बेनिफिट के भयो भने कतिपय रिभ्यूहरू आउँछ यताउता इमेल सिमेल लेख्नु पऱ्यो भने झन्झट भएन एउटा हल्का राम्रो खालको प्रम हालिदियो भने चट्टा आउँछ अनि नोटमा राख्छु अनि त्यसलाई एडिट गरेर सिधै पेस्ट हालिदिन्छु अनि गइहाल्छ अब
Very good.
लेटेस्टमा चाहिँ अब सिकेको कुराहरू चाहिँ अजुर फाउन्ड्रीमा चाहिँ अब जो यो अजुर फाउन्ड्री भयो त्यसमा चाहिँ अलिकति म चाहिँ विकै भयो, धेरै नै अलिक गाह्रै नै भयो मलाई पहिलो कुरो चाहिँ। अब दोस्रो कुरोमा चाहिँ त्यसमा चाहिँ डिलिट गर्नुपर्ने, डिलिट पनि अलिक भएर हुन्छ, त्यसमा चाहिँ अलिकति एक्स्ट्रा चार्ज लागिरहेको छ। अब आई विल फलो द इन्स्ट्रक्सन द्याट गिभन बाई मिस्टर संस्कार, so let's see if they can waive me. And I already followed the instruction from Mr. Sir, Principal Sir, Samir Sir. मैले उसलाई भनि पनि सकेँ कि ब्यागलाई भनिसकेँ होइन, नयाँ कार्ड पठाउँदैछ। तर हिजो पनि मैले फोन गरेको थिएँ। अब एकचोटि फिजिकल्ली गएर भेटेर नि कुरा गर्छु। मेरो चाहिँ त 1000+ आएको थियो, सायद वेब हुन्छ होला। नभए पनि अब के गर्ने, यस्तै भयो भनेर हिसाबले अब सिक्यो भनेर।
होइन एकछिन मैले पनि त्यही कन्ट्याक्ट गर्दैछु है, मेरो पनि चार्ज भइरहेछ। कस्तो भन्दाखेरि वन्स दे क्लोज आउट द इन्भोइस अनि पछि हामीले रिफन्ड रिक्वेस्ट गर्न पाउँछ अप टिल 90 days, बट दे हेभ टु क्लोज द इन्भोइस फर्स्ट। चार्ज मात्र भर हुन्न रहेछ, बिकज वी हेभ टु प्रोभाइड द इन्भोइस नम्बर, देन दे क्यान रिफन्ड अप टिल 90 days।
Okay, that is good information. Okay, thank you.
मेरोमा पनि इन्भोइस क्लोज भएको छैन, द्याट्स व्हाई आई कुडन्ट क्रिएट अ टिकट और समथिङ लाइक दैट। Once they close the invoice, we have invoice number, then we can like Sanskarle भने जस्तै त्यो follow up गरे भने we can request a refund button there.
So I also contacted support, they say the same thing, so just wait for that and then make sure you do it as soon as you can.
Okay sir, thank
मेरो
you.
चाहिँ के भएको थियो भन्दाखेरि मेरो चाहिँ डिस्कभर कार्ड हालेको थिएँ मैले, अनि मलाई टेक्स्ट आएको थियो यो चार्ज लेजिट हो कि होइन, तैँले गरेको होइन भनेर सोधेको थिएँ। मैले नो भनेर भन्दै थिएँ, त्यसपछि केही पनि भएन। तै पनि मैले नयाँ कार्ड चाहिँ इस्यु गरेँ।
मेरो पनि त्यो लेजिट हो कि होइन भनेर भनेको थिएँ, मैले होइन भनेपछि कार्डै लक गरिदियो, पैसा पनि रिफन्ड भयो।
ओके, त मेरो चाहिँ त्यो सिस्टम थिएन, बनाएको थिएन, अब त्यही भएर होला सायद। तर ठिकै छ, अब अहिलेसम्म चाहिँ मैले जस एआईमा चाहिँ केही सिक्छु भनेर आएको थिएँ। अब जता हेऱ्यो युट्युब हेऱ्यो त्यही एआईको कुरा आउँछ, वेब खोल्यो एआईकै कुरा आउँछ। होइन एआई भने के रहेछ त भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ एकदम क्युरियोसिटी थियो, अनि धेरै बुझ्यो सर। थ्याङ्क यू सो मच त्यसको लागि। अब फ्युचरमा चाहिँ सायद मैले 0 to I2 पनि जोइन गर्छु जस्तो फिल गरिरहेको छु, अलिकति टाइमले पर्मिट गर्यो भने।
Sure.
ओके सर, थ्याङ्क यू सो मच।
ओके, या सो तपाईँहरूलाई एउटा सानो स्निपेट देखाउँछु यहाँ पक्नु है। हाम्रो क्लास यहाँ हेर्नु, म स्क्रिन सेयर गरेर देखाउँछु। लेट मी शेयर माई स्क्रिन। यो अहिले फेरि नयाँ, सो स्क्रिन देखिन्छ?
देखिन्छ सर।
यसमा तपाईँले एउटा के नोटिस गर्नु, राइट साइडमा तलपट्टि हेर्नु त +214 एउटा क्लास हो त्यो। यहाँ 300+ स्टुडेन्टहरू छन् यो क्लासमा क्या। सो वी आर नट अ स्मल, हुन्छ नि त्यो सानो इन्स्टिट्युसन होइन। अब चाहिँ हामी वी आर रनिङ इन लाइक अ कलेज लेभलमा क्या। नेपालको कलेजमा यति धेरै कम्प्युटर साइन्स पढ्ने विद्यार्थी पनि हुँदैनन्। दिस इज इन आवर वान क्लास। यस्तो त हाम्रो कतिवटा क्लास रन गर्छौँ भाइमा होइन। सो
सर आई नो दैट मेरो वाइफ सर ग्रेजुएसनमा आउँदैछ।
ओके सो तर एउटा चाहिँ हामी के चाहिँ मेन्टेन गर्छौँ भने क्वालिटी। म कहिले पनि क्वालिटी कम्प्रोमाइज हुनु, म आफै पनि तपाईँहरूसँग लागिरहेको हुन्छु। आई वान्ट टु मेक स्योर हाम्रो 25-26 जनाको टिम छ, सबै टिमहरू लागिरहेको हुन्छन्। एभ्रीबडी वी हेभ इन्टरभ्युज भइरहेको हुन्छ, मक इन्टरभ्युज भइरहेको हुन्छ, स्टुडेन्टहरूलाई गाइड गरिरहेको हुन्छ। एभ्री डे दे कलिङ अस, सर म 2टा जब पाएँ के गरौँ भन्छ न, त्यो गाइड गर्नुपर्ने सबभन्दा समस्या त त्यहाँ छ। सर 2टा अफर आयो के गर्नु भन्छन्। अब भयो आपत त्यो धेरै पर्ने प्रब्लम चाहिँ त्यो हाम्रो। एउटा साइबर सिक्युरिटीको त्यस्तै हुँदा लार्ज क्लास, उता बच्चाहरूको किड्स क्लास त्यस्तै हुन्छ, सिस्कोको क्लास त्यस्तै रन भइरहन्छ। अब आई थिङ्क एट अ टाइम वी रन अबाउट 300+ स्टुडेन्ट्स एट एनी गिभन डे, सो द्याट अल इन्जिन रन्स। बट rest assured we don't compromise in quality. We make sure everybody is there, they're doing job. Even Avigay is having vacation in Nepal. Make sure he runs his class from Nepal. Sanskar Ali University ma he's in the class. We don't have excuses. I want to make sure I'm in front of you, make sure you have all the information you need to be successful. We don't cut corners. We want to maintain that quality. त्यही भएर त्यो विन्डले हामीलाई पुश गर्दा गर्दा तपाईँहरूको मायाहरूले र बाबुजी जस्तोको जुन उहाँले जुन अस्ति ड्यालसमा जुन दिनुभयो, सपोर्ट दिनुभयो, इट वाज phenomenal. It was fantastic. Thank you so much, Babuji.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And मेरो एउटै गोल के छ भने मिसन इम्पावरमेन्ट. मेरो मिसन नै हामी वर्ल्ड भरिमा भएका नेपालीहरूलाई जो भए पनि उहाँहरूलाई पढ्न खोज्नुहुन्छ कि गर्न खोज्नुहुन्छ भने वी आर देयर टु सपोर्ट एन्ड वाट एभर इट टेक्स. अहिले भर्खरै न्युज आयो कतारबाट रहेछ, कुवेतबाट, साउदीबाट सबतिर जब पाउनु भएर चाहिँ मैले भर्खर रिपोर्ट हेर्दैछु. अहिले भर्खर इन्फर्मेसन आयो होइन. सो उहाँहरू चाहिँ अब गाडी ड्राइभ गर्ने घाँटोमा के अरे त्यो बाहिर घाममा त्यो सिसा पुस्नेहरू अहिले दे आर नाउ आइटी इन्जिनियर्स. इट्स अनबिलिभेबल के, अनबिलिभेबल. इट्स रियली इम्प्याक्टफुल. अब त्यो म भिडियोहरू हाल्छु होला बिस्तारै, त्यो स्टोरीहरू भएर म भर्खर स्टोरी आइपुग्यो. सो इट्स रियली अब हामीले एउटालाई हामी सबैजनाले एउटा मात्रै हामी नेपालीलाई इम्प्याक्ट गर्न सक्यौँ भने, पोजिटिभ इम्प्याक्ट गऱ्यौँ भने, इमेजिन हाउ मच वी क्यान इम्प्याक्ट ग्लोबली के होइन. There are a lot of people are lost. They just need a guidance. Okay, so thank you so much. I really appreciate for supporting and trusting Everest IT for your AI journey. Ashish, you want to say something?
Yeah, सरले नाम लिनु होला भनेको.
Okay, sorry.
होइन सर, मैले चाहिँ अब यो एआई चाहिँ मैले पनि बाहिरै सुनेर एआई को पाइलट बनाएको छ, च्याट जिपिटी बनाएको छ, तर युज केस के हो भने मलाई पनि थाहा थिएन केही पनि होइन. अनि मैले तपाईँको हेरेर थिएँ. अनि मेरो एकजना पनि तपाईँकै क्लासमा हुनुहुन्थ्यो होइन. अनि म एकदमै इन्सपायर्ड भएको थिएँ पहिलेदेखि नै. तपाईँको त्यो नलेजहरू जति उ छ, तपाईँहरूले जति सेयर गर्नुहुन्छ, जति स्ट्रङ बनाउनुहुन्छ अरूहरूलाई होइन, त्यो चाहिँ अमेजिङ छ कि एकदमै. अनि मैले पनि त्यही भएर यो उमा ट्राई गरेको हो र आई एम फिलिङ भेरी गुड होइन. अनि एआई किन भन्दाखेरि एजुर एआई फाउन्ड्री जसमा चाहिँ तपाईँको युज केसेसहरू अब कस्तो भन्दाखेरि त्यो मैले ठ्याक्क टर्म चाहिँ बिर्सेँ, तर के भन्दाखेरि फाइन ट्युनिङ अनि एजेन्टिक एआई कसरी चलाउने होइन. अनि त्यसको युज केसेस कहाँबाट त्यो युजरहरूले कसरी त्यो फाइदा पाउँछ होइन. त्यो एजुर एआईमा गएर एजेन्टिक एआई क्रिएट गरेर हाउ दे गन जेनेरेट द एप्लिकेसन्स, हाउ द्याट क्यान बी युज बाई द बिजनेस. इट्स लाइक ए बिग थिङ होइन. अहिले सरले जुन पढाउनु भएको छ त्यसलाई चाहिँ इन्टरप्राइज लेभलमा यस्तो कुराहरू थाहा भयो भने, जुन पनि बिजनेसलाई थाहा भयो भने उनीहरूले कति मजाले त्यो सबै चिज एपहरू क्रिएट गर्छ र आफ्नो युजरहरूलाई दिन्छ होइन. द्याट्स गन बी बिग इम्प्याक्ट के होइन. अनि यो सबै चिज मैले युज केसहरू चाहिँ मैले एकदमै राम्रोसँग बुझेँ. आई एम रियल थ्याङ्कफुल होइन. अनि मैले आफै पनि मलाई वेबसाइट पनि एकदम मनपर्छ कि बनाउनलाई आफै. अनि मलाई त्यति उ छैन, तर मैले बनाएँ सर. यही हजुरकै क्लासबाट मैले आइडिया लिएर हजुरको त्यो रिसर्च भन्ने ट्याब छ नि, त्यो रिसर्च ट्याबमा गएर हाउ टु क्रिएट वेबसाइट.
रिसर्च एजेन्ट भन्नु है, अबदेखि ट्याब नभन्नु.
हजुर, त्यो पनि हेरेर सब त्यो सिकेकै भएर मैले होइन, त्यो कति मजाले त्यसले मजाले डिटेल दिँदो रहेछ त्यो एजेन्टले. अनि I went through all those details and I did a lot of things there also. I know it's like a maybe one day I tried, in one day I made a website, better website.
Yes.
Thank you very much for the whole team.
Yeah. Thank you Ashish for everything. Yeah, that's a small little things एकदमै meaningful हुन्छ क्या. किनकि त सानो कुरा नै कति इम्पोर्टेन्ट हुन्छ थाहा नै हुँदैन, अनि त्यही मान्छे त्यही लस्ट हुन्छ नि त. So great job. Thank you Ashish. Okay, बाबुजी.
सर फेरि पछि आउनु होला नआउनु होला भनेर मलाई सोध्न मन लागिहाल्यो. सो हामीले एउटा रिक्वेस्ट गरेका थियौँ होइन, केही समयलाई हामीले यो रेकर्डिङहरू रिभ्यू गर्नुको लागि एउटा रिपोजिटरीमा राखेर डाउनलोड गर्न नमिल्ने गरी जस्ट हामीले हेर्न मात्रै मिल्ने त्यो टाइपको केही समयलाई प्रोभाइड हुन्छ कि?
या, सो हामी वर्क गरिरहेको छौँ. तपाईँहरूको सबै हाम्रो जिमेल एड्रेस छ. वी trying to give you access into our SharePoint portal, and we're working on it. We'll send you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. यो एजियर फाउन्ड्री पछाडिको उयोहरू चाहिँ रिभ्यू गर्नै पर्ने छ मेरो केसमा. आई थिङ्क साथीहरूको पनि त्यही नै छ. अनि हामी चाहिँ वी आर ट्राइङ टु मेक यो
मेरो पनि केसमा
व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप बनाएर हामी फेरि
तपाईहरुलाई म मेरो मोबाइल नम्बर पनि लेखिदिन्छु यहाँ है. सो तपाईहरुलाई केही पर्यो भने डेफिनेटली जस्ट मैले एन्सर गरिनँ भने युजुअली मलाई चाहिँ टेक्स्ट गरेर म मेरो नाम यो हो, मलाई यो भनेर पुरै मेसेज कम्प्लिटली लेखिदिनु होला. and I can respond. Usually मान्छेले चाहिँ हाई गर्छन्, हेलो हाई हेलो गर्दा गर्दा 1-2 दिन लाग्छ. Let's not do that, हैन. पहिला चाहिँ आफ्नो नाम दिनु, म यो भन्नु, then I know मेरो नम्बर थाहा हुँदैन. And then if केही पर्यो भने I will always be there to support you. That's my direct mobile number. And यो recording I definitely सबैजनाले सोध्नु भएको छ. तपाईको मात्रै हैन, हामीलाई अब यो यति ठुलो क्लास भयो कि यो हरेकलाई लाइसेन्स किनेर यो पोसिबल. हाम्रो लाइसेन्सको कस्ट नै monthly almost $10,000 पर्छ के. So we need to change the model. हैन, अब कि त स्टुडेन्टले पे गर्नु पर्यो कि we need to work in the different model. Like Gmail लाई authenticated SharePoint साइटमा लगेर somehow the video portal access गर्ने हामी बनाउँदैछौँ. त्यो अब सेक्युरिटी पनि धेरै हेर्नु कि यस्तो यस्तो बदमासहरू पनि स्टुडेन्ट हुन्छन् कि we have to work on सबैजना बाबु र आशिष जस्तो ज्ञानी हुँदैन नि यहाँ सबै.
थाहा छ मलाई.
So I have to work on that. So we'll get back to you. It's
धेरै कन्फिडेन्शियल कुराहरू शेयर गर्नु भएको छ. डेफिनेटली आई वुड लाइक टु एश्योर कि हाम्रो टिमबाट चाहिँ यस्तो हुँदैन. अब हामी गर्दै गर्दै यदि थोरैमा आछौँ हैन, यो भनेको चाहिँ हामी रियली इन्ट्रेस्टेड मान्छेहरू हो. लास्ट टाइमसम्म बस्ने भनेको चाहिँ हैन. बरु अथेन्टिकेसन त्यो राखेर भयो भने हुन्छ नि.
No. We will definitely do. Yeah, this is our test bed for that. And हामी CCNA क्लासमा पनि अर्को new AI क्लासमा पनि हामी टिम्सको लाइसेन्स नदिने. They can join the meeting as a guest and they can access the meeting recording भन्ने हामी प्लेटफर्म तयार गर्दैछौँ के. So just give us a couple of weeks. जबसम्म हामी त्यो हुँदैन तबसम्म your teams will work. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. Okay, guys. Have a great night. Thank you so much for trusting Everest IT and me and entire crew, Sanskar and Avige here. By the way, Sanskar, you want to share your good news today or no?
I mean, I guess I'm being matched to a team at Google that is behind the Pixel phones. So you will see my work in the Pixel devices soon.
Right. So Google Pixel
congratulations भन्ने कि छोरालाई.
So Sanskar is moving to San Francisco from next year now. Google Pixel phone. So I have Google Pixel phone. So hopefully you can make it better, Sanskar.
अब हामीले resume-मा यो पनि भन्न मिल्ला नि त सर.
Yeah, of course.
Our tutor is working at Google as a senior भनेर राख्नु.
You can say trained by Microsoft and Google engineers.
Right.
Yeah.
No, seriously. I mean, that's what it is, right? It's powerful.
लेखिएन भने पनि इन्टरभ्यूमा चाहिँ स्योर भनिन्छ.
100%. I will write a recommendation. तपाईँ मलाई एक्चुअली बरु यसो गर्नु नि तपाईहरु. You know what good thing? तपाईहरु मात्रैलाई या जहाँ लास्ट दिनमा जोइन गर्नेलाई मात्रै अफर है यो. तपाईहरु मलाई लिंक्डइनमा रिक्वेस्ट पठाउनु, कनेक्ट गर्नु. I will write you personal recommendation in there. AI सिक्नु भयो र you guys are amazing. That's more powerful than anything else.
म त अलरेडी कनेक्टेड छु सरसँग.
So yeah. Send me the recommendation request है त.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay guys, thank you so much.
Last question. Sir, एउटा last question. अब नेक्स्ट एआई क्लासको बारेमा अलिकति भन्दिनँ किन भन्दै मैले मेरो साथीहरुलाई पनि भनेको थिएँ, एक दुई जना इन्ट्रेस्टेड पनि छन्. के हुन्छ, के चेन्ज हुन्छ हाम्रो कोर्स भन्दा, अथवा हुन्छ नि कति लामो हुन्छ, एउटा सर्ट.
एकदम सिम्पल छ. हाम्रो ai@everestitt.com मा इमेल गर्नु भन्नु हैन. everestitt.com. So हाम्रो एकदम सजिलो. AI क्लासको ai@everestitt, CCNA क्लासको CCNA@everestitt, हाम्रो 02 IT क्लासको क्लाउड एन्ड नेटवर्किङ क्लासको यो सबै इमेल एड्रेस छ के. किड्स क्लासको kids@everestitt सबै अटोमेसन छ हाम्रोमा. यो जम्मै इमेल उनीहरुले इमेल गरेपछि जम्मै डिटेल अटोमेटिकली जान्छ. सबै डकुमेन्ट्सहरु दे क्यान रिड थ्रु. अनि केही अपडेट भयो भने हामी यही अपडेट गर्छौं. उहाँले फेरि अपडेटेड डकुमेन्ट पाउनुहुन्छ. ओर उहाँलाई के पनि भन्न सक्नुहुन्छ भने हाम्रो डिसेम्बर 6 मा कमिङ डिसेम्बर 6 मा चाहिँ फ्री क्लास छ. हामी मन्थली एउटा फ्री क्लास पनि रन गर्छौं. So anybody interested, they should send an email to free@everestitt.com and join free classes a month. So cyber security बारेमा कुरा हुन्छ यो आउने डिसेम्बर 6 मा. Okay.
हुन्छ सर.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
I guess request. तपाईँको यो kids computer kids class like कुन एज ग्रुपको लागि?
9 to 18 or 10 to 18 or 9 or 10 to 18, sorry, confusion.
मेरो छोरी चाहिँ नि she is in 3rd grade, right? No, 4th grade, sorry.
So she's perfect. She's 10 years old, I think.
So भन्दाखेरि सिलेबस कस्तो हुन्छ र उनीहरुलाई के सिकाउने हो खास?
So kids@everestitt.com यसो इमेल एड्रेस जम्मै हाम्रो जम्मै डिटेल छ बट यही टिचरहरू हुन् संस्कार एन्ड अभिज्ञ सो दे क्यान एन्सर अल द क्वेसन्स है त
Okay.
ओके सो या इमेल गर्नु अनि यु क्यान रिच आउट बाई टिम्स एन्ड दे क्यान अल्सो एन्सर बेसिकली चारवटा हाम्रो चाहिँ कोडिङ एआई नेटवर्किङ एन्ड पिसी हार्डवेयर चारवटा कुरा 1 वर्ष लगाएर पढाउँछौँ अनि हाम्रोमा पढ्ने विद्यार्थीहरू बाबुआमाले नै सरी ननिकाल्नु यसलाई कन्टिन्यू नै गराइराख्नु भन्छ रिभिजन गरिरहन्छन् नयाँ नयाँ कुरा सिकिरहन्छन् इट्स फन 40-50 जना विद्यार्थीहरू कस्तो खतरा प्रोजेक्टहरू बनाउँछन् एआईको प्रोजेक्ट बनाउँछन् कसैले आई मिन सफ्टवेयर इन्जिनियरमा के अरे कलेजमा गएर सफ्टवेयर इन्जिनियर पढेको भन्दा यहाँ 14 वर्षको बच्चाले कस्तो खतरा एप बनाउँछ कि अब नो आइडिया अभिज्ञले ही क्यान सेयर द स्टोरी
I think your December go end someone our kids will do more AI stuff than we learned in this class.
Yeah,
right, Sanskar, like more. More.
Yeah,
like
they learn how to use. They learn how to use Python and AI in code, and now they're making AI systems from code and designing their own. So they're doing work that I did at internships at companies. So it's really cool. Yeah.
So that means I can run Copilot Studio with my daughter next summer, huh?
There we go. Dad and daughter. Okay. Team up, guys. Team up. Okay, Ashok.
सर अब सरलाई चाहिँ धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद अनि अब हाम्रो विके सर अनि अब संस्कारलाई पनि धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद भन्न चाहन्छु त्यही हो
थ्याङ्क यू अशोकजी
अनि मैले चाहिँ अब 0 to IT लिएछु अब त्यसमा भेट्छु अब
अफ कोर्स ल ओके तपाईँ र बेस्ट पार्टनर बन्नु हो दुईजना बेस्ट पनि हो नि त जोइन गर्ने
जोइन कुरो भएको छ हाम्रो सर मेरो एउटा क्वेसन छ सर अब जस्तो मैले भने अब म त यहाँ मेरो अफिसमा त त्यस्तो छैन कोपाइलट पनि छैन यताउता लाइसेन्सहरू छैन र मैले चाहिँ यसो विचार गरेको के मैले आफैले पर्सनली कुनै टेनेन्ट बनाएर टेनेन्ट लिएर गर्ने हो कि के गर्ने हो सर
हो टेनेन्ट लिएर लाइसेन्स लिएर डोमेन नेम किनेर पुरै सेटअप गर्नुपर्छ हाम्रो यो 0 to IT क्लासमा गर्ने नै त्यही हो नेटवर्किङ त्यो क्लासले जम्मै कुरा सिकाउँछ तपाईँलाई एभ्रिथिङ
Okay, sir.
Right?
Okay. Thank you so much.
We'll make you. This is an engineering class. This is not a 0 to IT भनेर फेरि हल्का फुल्का नलिने होला मान्छे धेरैलाई हामी निकाल्छौँ पनि धेरैले छोड्छन् पनि सो इट्स जो पुरै पढेर पास आउट हुन्छ नि ग्यारेन्टी जब पाउँछ बिकज एकदम निचारेर निकाल्छौँ कि हामीहरूले देख्नु भएन अघि 280 जनामा अहिले ग्रेजुएट हुने 230 जना मात्रै छन् 60 जना दे ड्रप्ड or we'll kick them out either one.
Oh my goodness.
It's not. Don't worry. तपाईँले हप्तै पछि यस्तो हो क्या जो छोडा हामीले निकाल्नु पर्ने अवस्था कहाँ आउँछ भन्दा 2-3 हप्तासम्म होमवर्क गर्दैनन् अनि त्यहाँबाट चाहिँ ल मैले जानिनँ मलाई 1-to-1 टिचर दे भन्न थाल्छन् हल्ला गर्न थाल्छन् अनि वी हेभ टु से सरी गुड बाई
ओके
या 1 विक अथवा 2 हप्ता भन्दा बढी चाहिँ पछि पर्नु हुँदैन क्या बिकज यसको पाइल अप क्या यहाँ हेर्नु त 4 हप्ताकोले पाइल अप हुन तपाईँलाई गाह्रो भयो त्यो 8 महिनाको पाइल अप हुन्छ यो देयर इज नो वे यु क्यान क्याच अप एब्सोल्युटली नो वे Okay, guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate. I will see you again somewhere. I will not forget this group. You guys are amazing. So thank you so much. Have a good night. And Sanskar and Avika, take over.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Nice, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. All right, so let's have our last class. So just like yesterday, I'm going to open up with some AI news. See, AI news happens every single day. It happened again today. So I'm going to start today's class with a little bit of AI news, and then we'll do some learning on MCP today. So that's what we're going to do. Here we go. So today in AI world, new model from Mistral. So Mistral is an AI lab in France. They're really, really known for making really good, stable models, and they make them open source. And they made a new model called Mistral 3, and they created 2 types of models. So they created a Mistral 3. They made 3 state-of-the-art dense small models that you can actually run on your computer or you can run on your phone. They made a 14B model, an 8B model, and a 3B model. And then they also made a Mistral Large 3, which is a very large model of 675 billion parameters. You would need about 8 to 10 GPUs to run this model. So a very expensive model to run, but they are absolutely state of the art. So if you want to look at this article that goes over how well it's performing against other models that just came out recently, you can definitely look at this. It is very good. I've actually already been able to test it. Matter of fact, I have it here on my laptop. So if you want to see a little bit of it, I can turn it on. And it loads on my laptop natively. This is an app called LM Studio where you can actually load local models. You can just download and then try them. So if I say something like, "Hi, how are you?" I don't know, something simple. You can see that's the Mistral 3 14B model. It's able to reason, and this is the reasoning specific model. And it's able to do some stuff like this. So it takes a little bit of time. Plus, this is running on Mac, so it's maybe not the fastest, but you can definitely run these models on low-end hardware or even on your phone. They're small enough to run really well on your phone. So this is going to think for a while. I'm just going to stop it now. But they're very, very good. And, as I was saying, I think like yesterday, smaller models are getting so good that in a few years, the small models we're going to run on our phone is just going to be just as good as ChatGPT 5, right? So if you want to read this, I will leave this article in the chat. You can go ahead and look into it. You can run these models for free on your phone, on your computer. You can even run them in the web, so with a web GPU. But if you're interested, you can do some digging here. Really, really cool look into some models today. Okay, other than that, pretty much that's the stellar AI news of today. Again, every day it changes, so I keep sharing as much as I can. Definitely, I will keep doing this next set of AI class as well. Okay, so
have you noticed that? Sorry, have you noticed that all these new releases happen around the same time? So it's like one release, and then there's another that comes out. Oh, we're better than what happened a week ago.
Yep.
And then there's another one. Oh, we're better than everything that happened last 2 weeks. Right? It's like Samsung and iPhone releases.
Yeah, and I think the reason is nobody wants to put their model out first because the other person has a better model and then their model gets completely overshadowed, right? So we had so many new models come out in the recent 3 days, and they're all new base models. They're not even fine-tuned of like Quen, which is what we've seen for the past couple months. So now we're kind of on this schedule of, okay, we're going to see new model releases every few months around the same time. Everyone drops at the same time. As well as I think because near IPS is happening this week, this is probably a drop that they were planning as well. Subodh, do you have a question?
Yeah, Sanskar. So today only I saw the headline. Actually, I was not able to read the whole story, but Sam Altman from ChatGPT, he issued kind of a raid notice because of the Gemini 3.
Yep.
Can you share some knowledge on that?
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. There was a very good story today. So for you guys that don't know, when Gemini 3 Pro released, I think last week, was it last week? I think so. ChatGPT lost 6% of its users, which if you think about in the billions of users they have, that is a major amount of users that they just lost, right? So right now, Sam Altman and the rest of OpenAI are kind of in this go mode. They need to come out with something even better, the Gemini 3. So competition is always good. We always want to see competition between companies. We never want to see one company win the whole thing, right? No matter if it's Google, if it's OpenAI, if it's Meta, if it's anyone, we'd rather see competition between companies. That way everyone is not comfortable and we strive towards innovation. So it's good. Sam Altman needs to be a little scared, Google is making really good strides. Oh, and another thing in AI news I completely forgot to mention. Amazon came out with new chips today. What were they called? There's something like new AI chips. So NVIDIA and Amazon partnered up and they made Amazon released a new AI chip, which seems really, really good. They call it Trainium 3. And I think I saw, if I remember correctly, they were saying that they have like 4 times the power of other systems, as well as 4 times the speed of like training models, 4 times the memory. So yeah, like right here. So these chips that they're making in conjunction with NVIDIA is going to be really huge for people that use AWS to train models, to run models, and it's going to be really efficient, as well as I think, 40% more energy efficient. So which means it's going to be cheaper for providers as well. So AI is getting faster to run on AWS, and it's also going to be a little cheaper. So this was a really big news. And they teased an NVIDIA roadmap together. So this is really cool. Again, we love to see competition, whether Google makes their own chips, NVIDIA makes their chips. The more competition, the better. It always benefits the consumers. Okay, anyone else have any other news that they saw about AI today that they wanted to go over? You know what? There is a cool demo if you guys want to do this later. There's this thing called Web GPU, and what's really cool is you can actually download a model that runs in the browser and it runs on your computer. And so look at this. This model you see that is running, you see the stream that's being outputted, that is actually running in my browser, and that's using my computer to run the model. This is called Web GPU. And this is a really, really big accomplishment because now we're able to run AI models in the browser. And now every device can run an AI model, no matter if it's a TV, it's a computer, anything. And it's all happening locally, not even on a server, right? So this is happening on my Mac, which is really cool. So if you want to try that out for yourself, definitely go for it. This is awesome.
Can you send
and that's
the
done
link,
with
please?
Mistral. Yeah, I put it in the chat. Oh, wait, no, I didn't. Let me put it in the chat. Yeah, you can play around with this. This is really cool stuff. Okay. Anything else before we move on? Okay, so for today's class, I have prepared a Kahoot. Maybe we'll do that a little bit later. But for this first section here, I want to actually go over some MCP servers. So I know yesterday you guys wanted to learn a little bit more about MCP servers. For the purposes of today's class, as well as for MCP, I'm going to focus more on the personal benefit of what you can use MCP for your own like personal well-being, as well as how it works. Okay, so there's so many different ways that we can use MCP, but let's first understand what MCP really is. Okay, so let's take a little bit of a deep dive. Okay, so I'm going to show a MCP diagram, and we're just going to walk through it. This is a really good one I like to use. Let me open this up in a new tab here. So there we go. Oh, it downloaded it. Okay, there we go. So here is a diagram of before and after MCP. So let me explain. Before the invention of MCP, what we used to do, think like a year back, because MCP came out November 2024. So it's been around a year since MCP's come out. MCP, before it, we would have an LLM talk directly to these providers. Like GitHub, if you wanted to read your pull requests, if you wanted to read your Google Drive, if you wanted to read your Slack, all of these would be fed into the model. And what they would be fed as are like tools. So imagine you would have a tool for GitHub. Maybe you have like 5 tools for GitHub. Then you have 5 tools for Google Drive. Then you have 5 tools for Slack. And all of these tools would be put into the LLM. And you can think of these tools as like the actions in Azure AI Foundry and Copilot Studio. Remember those actions that we would have, like reading the Outlook, email, or sending the Outlook email? Those are tools. So you can think of these services having so many tools. And before MCP, we would just stuff the LLM with all of these tools, and the LLM would decide which tool to use. Now, it's great, but there's a problem. The problem is when you have 50 services, and each service has 5 to 10 tools, the context for the model gets really bloated. And now the model doesn't know which tool to use. And there also comes a problem with, how do I know which request to make? How do I know which API to call? How do I know if I do this step, then the next step, what do I do? And so it was kind of difficult to find a way to connect all of these APIs, but make sure they're all separate. Make sure they can all be called separately and we don't have conflicts with each other. Okay, this is where Model Context Protocol comes in. So Model Context Protocol is a way for a model to have a single API, the API being the Model Context Protocol API, and the MCP server has all the tools of all the providers. So you can see on the right, now instead of all the tools being pointed straight to the LLM, they're pointed straight to the MCP server. So you might be asking, well, what's the benefit? The benefit is now the LLM doesn't need to know all the tools beforehand. Now, the LLM can choose which tools to use. So instead of having all these tools in the LLM context window, we now have all the tools in the server, and the LLM goes to that server and picks the tools they need. So not only is it more efficient in context, but now they can have a stable, like HTTP kind of method. Like if you're a software engineer, like you have REST API, it's kind of like that standard of like having an LLM go and choose the tool, and then the tool chooses the API they want to call. So now it's all standardized. It's all standardized within the server. So you can imagine maybe we have a few MCP servers, but for each like service. So when an LLM needs to go access a certain service's tools, they just go to that MCP server. They don't need to go to anything else. And that saves a lot of context instead of having to load everything up front. So it's a way of connecting all these tools to the LLM efficiently. That's the reason we have MCP. So what does this really allow? It allows us to see our GitHub history. It allows us to see, how can we make a pull request? How can we read my Google Drive files? How can we use Slack to, do something? And it can be really useful. I use it in my day-to-day life. I use it every day. I'm going to show you a few of my use cases for where I use MCP servers. Okay. Does anyone have any question about how MCP works, the Model Context Protocol? Okay, so this is fairly new technology. Yeah.
Sorry for the interruption.
Go ahead.
I was just curious, so it's kind of like mediator in between LLM and the works, right? Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. It's exactly that. It's the mediator. So the LLM only gets the tools they need instead of all the tools at once. Right?
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's a kind of like standardization. And then you have, and for MCP, there's a client and a server. The client would live within the LLM, the server would be outside, and that hosts all the tools they need. And that way it's a efficient, streamlined communication. And the MCP server can either be stored locally on machine, or it can be stored like on a AWS like Lambda server, or hosted on cloud, right? So
yeah, and I think the connectors that we hear about, right? Most of the connectors, let's say if Google had a connector to my Microsoft Copilot Studio, right? Then it would probably be an MCP server that hosts the Google APIs, right? So we are connecting to the to Gmail, Google Drive, whatever from Microsoft environment. And what Google has done for us is they have hosted a MCP server so that our agent can talk to Google's agent. It's just a protocol that is understood by the agents and they can interact with each other.
exactly.
Actually, the agent goes in and does the work, but it just understands that language.
Yeah, exactly, right? So you guys see in this window here, So you can see I added sources. So instead of connectors, again, like what Samir said earlier, it's just different phrasing, right? So in Azure and Copilot, they call it connectors. In ChatGPT, they call it sources. And all of these sources are basically separate MCP servers for those specific services. So if I have a Google Drive here, Google Drive is an MCP server that has its own Google Drive specific tools, right? So we can try something here, right? So find my Google Sanskar Thapa resume and return it to me. So let's see. It's gonna go, hopefully, looks into my Google Drive and then finds my resume and then returns it straight to me. So it's able to search and fetch for information. And this is using an MCP server. And what the LLM is doing is it goes to the MCP server, looks for the Google Drive search tool, gives the Google Drive search tool, and then uses that to call the API for Google Drive to get the information. So it's all about standardizing how LLMs interact with APIs. That's the standardization. We're streamlining the process of how LLMs can go and call, for information from different APIs. So you can see, look, it found my resume and then it even listed out my entire resume. So you can see here, and then if I press this, it links straight to my resume, which is this. Okay, that makes sense. Any questions about this? Okay, so I'm going to show you some use cases that I have been using with MCP servers. I think you'll find really, really cool. It was specific with ChatGPT, and then I'll show you some developer-focused use cases I have as well. So I'm going to show you one. So I have to find it. I think it's here. So I used the Zillow MCP server. So Zillow in ChatGPT, they have an MCP server together. And actually, they have this whole integration where you can search for property. So check this out. This chat I had was basically, I'm trying to find the best places to live in New York City as a Bloomberg software engineer. Right, so I'm planning out, okay, where do I live? What's the best place to live? What has the best neighborhoods? How can I budget so that I can live in these places? All of that. So my first basic prompt was, I want to find a proper place to live that's 45 minutes max commute to the main Bloomberg office. The place should fit within the budgeting. The place should have this and this and this. And then it went and found these places. Right, so it gave me all these areas. Like, look, it gave me Astoria, Queens. It gave me Sunnyside, Woodside, Queens, Long Island City, Queens, and then maybe Manhattan, and then downtown Brooklyn. And then it gave me all this information. So I said, okay, this is great information, but now I want to see it in action. I want to see it visually, and I want to use the Zillow MCP server for it to go search that information, do the filtering for me. So here's what I did. I said, can you look for the actual listings using Zillow? I'm most interested in areas like Astoria, but look for other areas with my requirements. And if you notice, I put the Zillow MCP server here as a source. So it thought for around 40 seconds, and then it gave me this interactive map, which only contains property. So if you notice, there's no other place. So it took all of the places that it recommended, all of the different areas it recommended, filtered it, went into Zillow, filtered for everything, then showed me all of the areas that it thinks fits my budget, fits what I wanted. So now I can just use this interactive map, and this is only possible due to MCP servers. It allows us to connect to API like the Zillow API and search for these places. And I didn't have to do any of the work, right? It was able to do all of that calculation. And this is not web scraping. This is all live information in Zillow, right? And I didn't even have to go to the website. Right? Ikesh, what's your question?
So how did you add that Zillow MCP server here in ChatGPT?
Yeah, I'll show you. So here, let's say I take this off for a second. I can go to this plus button. This is with ChatGPT Pro, so I pay $20 a month. for this. I'm not sure if you can add connectors or sources without the Pro subscription, so you might need that. I'm not sure. I've been paying this for over a year, so I get all the new features. But here, and we can see all the different things here, and then if we go to more, we can see add sources. Okay, if we go to add sources, we can click this connect more. And in the connect more, you're going to see all these different apps. Okay, all of these different apps are essentially MCP servers. You can connect to Coursera, Figma, and Zillow is also here. I already have it connected, so you see it here, but you're going to see Zillow around here. There's so many different connectors. Like you can even have Teams, right? You can have Teams, your calendar, your Slack, your calendar, your Linear, your HubSpot. You want to have Stripe for payments, your Spotify. You can have a lot of connectors here. And I believe you can also add your own connectors if you enable developer mode. So you can add a lot of MCP servers that allow you to have these level of experiences and get this live information. And you don't even need to spend so much time, right? It's just prompting. It's just, if you know how to prompt, you can do exactly here, right? You guess what's your
follow-up question? So can we do the same thing in a Copilot? Because I do have Copilot paid version at work, and we do work with like insurance for state-wise for Medicaid stuff. So I just want to connect those state sites for like codes, eligibility, and those stuff.
Yeah, in terms of Copilot, so Copilot is more business use case. It might be there. I haven't double checked. I'm not too sure. So it might be natively supported, but if it isn't natively supported, then you would have to create the MCP server manually, meaning it probably would require you to either write some code, or maybe there's a way in Copilot Studio you can add a custom connector, and you would have to have a Zillow API key and set all of the routes and the tools yourself. So it might require coding, or if it's already there natively, then you can just add that as like a connector, like in Copilot Studio when we did it before, right? It just depends. If it's not native, then you might have to write some code to do it, but you can absolutely get that same level of integration. ChatGPT, because it's more of a consumer platform, we have access to more like consumer applications, right? So this is why I'm kind of focusing more on this aspect, because Copilot Studio, you're going to be able to connect to like your databases and your, your services. But ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini are going to give you more personalized MCP connections or stuff that you maybe use on the daily, which is kind of what I wanted to touch more on just for today's example. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So yeah, you can absolutely grab your Zillow MCP server here, and all you would have to do is just add it. You might have to sign in. I don't remember if you had to sign in or not, but you can just add it as a connector, and then you would just add it here. So you can just do it here. Just add it, and then you can use it here. Right. So I would just click on Zillow, and now it's going to search for things in Zillow. And you can see everything that it did. It even prioritized them in my list of what I wanted. And New York City is really expensive, so that's what we were looking at. I can even refine it based on what I want. So this is one really cool example. And again, like you can add so many more MCP servers. You can even add your own, as well as there's different MCP servers you might not realize. So for example, web search is a MCP server. It's a tool, and that allows the model to search the web for live information, right? Just like you would Google search, it can do a web search. We've done that before, but that's also being done with MCP servers, right? So there's a lot of stuff that goes into play with this. Okay. So that's a few examples here. Now I want to touch a few more examples in different platforms. So if you're interested, we can look at some different platforms and maybe some developer-focused MCP servers that I use on a daily basis. So let's switch over to Claude. So this is Claude. This is Claude Desktop. So I think for Claude, in order to use MCP servers, you need to download their app. which is either on Mac or Windows. And I think on the phones as well. I think maybe web, but if you wanted custom MCP servers, you need the app. So this is Claude Desktop. This is the app Claude. And there's a lot of cool features that Claude gives that maybe ChatGPT doesn't. So this is the interface. It's quite simple. But if we want to check the MCPs that we can use, they have it all here. So you can see all the different MCP servers I have access to. So you see it's web search, it's drive search, Gmail. I don't have connected yet. I don't have calendar. And then I have a few of my own MCP servers. So these are a few custom ones. And I'm going to touch upon these because they're really, really useful as a developer. Now, we can look at the list of connectors. Again, MCP was engineered and innovated, invented by Anthropic. So the makers of Claude. So they've had this connector, solution for a longer time than ChatGPT. So they have a little bit more robust MCP connections that you can add. So if we click on this browse connectors, we can see all the different connectors they have. And this is a very long list. AWS Marketplace, you have N8N, you have GoDaddy, you have very different ones than you would see in ChatGPT, right? You would see, we have Databricks, we have Figma, Indeed for job searching, Hugging Face, Ramp, Vercel, even a lot of developer focused ones too, because Claude does, there are a lot of their user base are developers, so they have a lot of developer focused connectors. And there's also desktop connectors, so you can see it can read your iMessages if you're on a Mac. It can read your file system. It can read and write Apple Notes. It can even control your Mac, right, with Apple Script. And then I have a few of my custom ones, like Contact 7. This is my custom MCP server I added. I will touch on that in a second. That's my favorite one. And then we have a lot of them here, right? Microsoft Clarity. As you notice, it's an MCP server. Kubernetes, if you run Kubernetes, if you want to have an MCP server to manage all your containers, there's the world is endless, and you can also add a custom one. And all you would need to do is add a custom URL if it's hosted somewhere, or you can add it MCP server locally, have it run locally, and then add that as a URL. Just serve it on an endpoint, and you can use anything like that, even with OAuth, right? So this is why MCP is super, super important, right? Subha, what's your question?
No, my only concern is about the security. So if I give my access to Google Drive or Dropbox, where I put all of my personal information and give access to all of them, is it secure enough? I mean, can you talk on that, please?
Yeah, so there's a few things. Obviously, when you use these big model providers, you're automatically giving your data to them. So if you are very concerned about your privacy, my first thing I would say is go download LM Studio, serve your own model, and use this, right? So if you have like a Mac, or if you have like maybe you have a PC with a GPU, anything, you have a phone, you can do it on a phone. You can have MCP servers even on local hardware, right? So for example, I'm running this Mistral model, or I can have a custom version of GPT, right? GPT also is a local model. I can also have my own MCP servers. So if you download LM Studio, you can have your own MCP servers that you install locally. So if you are concerned about data privacy, there is no better way than to just run LM Studio or Olama, running your own model on your machine, and making and then installing an MCP server inside of LM Studio and do everything locally. There's no other better option. Now, let's say you do use the big providers. What are you giving up on? Well, all these big providers, when you give them your information, number one, that information is going to be trained on most likely. And number two, they can read that information anytime they want. And if you're using confidential files, maybe you don't want to do it on a big provider. I would not recommend that. I would 100% go with the local model approach. Go learn to use LM Studio. It takes like 5 minutes to set up. You can get your own model running. Even though it's not going to be as good, you do secure your data privacy. Now, what I will say, if you're going to use a big provider, lots of these MCP servers don't have write access. They only have read access. For example, if we connected Gmail, I'm very certain I cannot write emails even through Gmail MCP server. It's only going to let me read my emails, maybe summarize my emails, but it's not ever going to write my emails. So if you're concerned about AI writing things that, maybe you didn't want it to write that, maybe you didn't want it to, write something into a database or something like that. Most of these tools, although you should check, right? Most of these tools don't have write access, only read. So those are the things you need to consider. But again, like nothing beats truly local integration. You can do this even as a non-developer. It's very easy to set up. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right. So yeah, we can experiment here. So check this out. I have a MCP server for my file system. So let's say I want to read my file system. I want to say list all the items on my desktop. And then it will go and look into my file system using the file system MCP server, and that's locally on my machine. So it's able to list all the directories and find what's on my desktop. So there you go. Here's what's in there, and we can double check this if I went to my desktop. So it says there's a directory of error screenshots, resumes, and speech framework archive. Yep, those are correct. And then there's 2 screenshots here, and then there's like some system files. Looks like it checks out. System files are hidden files, so I can't read them here. But yeah, MCP servers like this are very, very cool. Now, let me show you some developer-focused ones that I like to use. Okay, so check this out. If you pay for Claude, you have access to something called Claude Code. So this is a whole interface. You can also run this in terminal if you would like. But there's this thing called Claude Code, and this is a AI agent that writes code for you. And it does it really well. I've actually, vibe coded a few apps of my own, and they've done very well. And it helps you, not only write code, but also deal with GitHub. If you want to, have a GitHub MCP server, it can write and commit things for you. It can write pull requests for you, merge requests. It can merge pull requests for you. It can write comments. It can review pull requests. It can do so many things. So, but one of my favorite things that it can do is it can use MCP server called Context 7. Now, I don't have any code I want to actually write here, so I'm not going to do it in Claude Code, but you absolutely can use Claude Code for this. I'm actually going to demonstrate one of my favorite MCP servers as a developer. There's this MCP server called Context 7. And what Context 7 is let me show you. We go to context7.com. This is an MCP server that provides up-to-date documentation on any piece of software that's ever existed on GitHub. Up to date all the time. So why would this be useful? See, LLMs, they are trained on a specific set of data, but that data might be outdated. So let's say you tell a model to write some React 19 code. You want some latest React code. That model could be trained on React 18 code, and you'll never get React 19 code. So that is a pain point, is models don't always have up-to-date information. They don't have up-to-date documentation. Sometimes when you update a package, something doesn't work the same way. And the model doesn't know it because it was never trained on those updated changes, right? This is where Context 7 is so useful. So if you're a developer, watch this. You see all of these GitHub repos, Next.js, BetterAuth, Vercel AI, MongoDB, Tailwind, Prisma, ShadCN UI. These are all very popular, frameworks and libraries that we use to develop websites and apps. Now what we can do is use this MCP server to get that up-to-date documentation. So for example, I'm going to ask, I want to learn the latest way to create a use effect hook in React. use the context 7 MCP server to find documentation and teach me. Okay, so let's say I give this prompt. I want to learn something in React. I want to use the context 7 MCP server to go and find the documentation and teach me how to, how to create a use effect hook, right? If you're not developers, don't worry. This is just another unique way to use MCP server that's actually really useful. So I use this every day when I code. Every day I need latest documentation. I tell context 7. And so what's so great about this is you can see the request it made was, okay, I want a React library, and it found all the libraries, right? It found the React library. And the coolest thing is it has all the code snippets, and it has a trust score for whether or not the model can trust that documentation. And it goes and finds all of the documents necessary. So it finds, okay, I want the topic of a use effect hook, and I want to find it within context 7. And here we go. So check this out. We can see import use effect hook from React, basic import statement to use a use effect hook. And it gets all this documentation without me ever having to go look for it, and puts it into its own context. And now look at this. It's teaching me how to use the use effect hook in React, all with up-to-date information. I don't even need to go search it myself. I just ask it, context 7 will go get that information for me. This is the true power of MCP servers. Not only can you do actions, but you can get latest up-to-date information like this. And as a developer, this is extremely useful because we all know we hate working with legacy. Maybe we need to look at something, that was recently updated. Or if we updated our code base to a specific version, we need to go see the documentation for that version. But you don't want to go look it up, you can use context 7. There's so many use cases. I use this all the time, and it has made my development life so much easier. And it also makes the model a lot more accurate when it's writing code. It doesn't just rely on what it was trained on. It actually learns what kind of code does it use now and how they can use it in your code base. Even if it wasn't trained on that code, it understands and is able to use that latest documentation. And it doesn't even need to be like popular as well. It can be literally anything. If you want to do React, you want to do Swift, you want to do Kotlin, Jetpack, anything, you can use this MCP server. So if you're a developer, 100% recommend you use this one. It is truly life-changing, I will say. Okay, so you can see the power of MCP servers. Now, what if you wanted to add your own MCP server? So I know a couple people, maybe you have your own APIs that you want to use, and you want to connect it to your model. So now you give your model superpowers. How do you do that? Okay, so the way we can do this is, I believe on Claude, we can go here. Again, this is using the Pro plan, so I'm not totally sure if this works on the free plan. I'm just using the Pro plan here. We can go to connectors. Again, we can go to this we can go to this browse connectors, and we can add a custom one and do it here. There's also a JSON file that you can edit, and you can add your own MCP servers there as well. Okay, I think that was a pretty good demonstration. Any questions about this specifically? Or MCP in general, or any question at all? Okay. And I guess the last platform that I will touch on is Gemini. So again, this is using the Pro plan. I pay for a lot of AI services. So Gemini also has access to API, MCP servers, but not in the same way that ChatGPT and Claude do. They don't allow you to add your own, at least from what I've seen. You're not allowed to add your own MCP servers, but what Gemini has an advantage in is that it has access to its own APIs, as well as being able to do everything inside the Google ecosystem, which means reading your Gmails, reading your Google Drive, making PowerPoints, all of that stuff. So let me show you a really good use case of using Gemini specifically and using their set of MCP servers. Now, you don't actually get to add any of these MCP servers because they are already baked into Gemini. So I don't need to go here and add the specific MCP server I want to use. Unlike ChatGPT, like I had to add Zillow, and then Claude I had to add or toggle one of those like servers. For Gemini, it's already built in. So if I say I want to create a slide deck, it's going to create a slide deck. If I want to create a document, it's going to create a document. So let's see this in action. Let's say I want to create a slide presentation on MCP servers and how they work and how they are impacting the AI systems of today. Make the presentation lively and professional for a business meeting. Okay, so what it's going to do is it's going to go into the Google Slides MCP server automatically, and it's going to draft all the content and then also allow you to straight import it into Google Slides. So MCP servers allow you to do a lot of this kind of work and automation, and allow you to kind of like have one interface for a lot of different things, right? Me personally, as an AI engineer, from the trends that I see, the future, I think, in the next few years is we're going to have one interface be able to interact with all of the different services in a way that we don't need to go to any websites anymore. We're going to be able to interact with all of the services we need, everything that we need for business or personal, all through one interface, that being an LLM. And so the LLM will be able to serve all of the use cases that you have, but now just through Gemini or just through Claude. And so here we go. So now it's creating the slides. And as soon as it's done, it will allow us to export to slides as well. And you can kind of see the power where in the few years, again, we're going to be creating and doing everything within one interface. And the benefit is now we don't need to go anywhere. We don't need to learn different UI. We don't need to, concern ourselves with how to interact with the system. We just have the LLM go interact with the system for us and then just give us the result. This is the concept of a neural operating system. This is actually something that Gemini and Google have been actually like experimenting with, and they actually integrated it into part of Gemini. Now you can create experiences completely generated and be able to serve all your use cases straight from Gemini from one interface. So, okay, so check this out. Using the slides MCP server, we're able to create slides automatically. Here's the slide deck. So I told it to create it about one model context protocol so we can see the challenge, MCP, the USB-C for AI, which is exactly that, right? We're connecting it to different services, the architecture. I mean, look at this. This is crazy. Right? This is the best slide deck I've ever seen on MCP. In fact, I'm going to use this for my kids when I teach kids. This is great, right? And this is what MCP really allows us to do. And then we can obviously export this to slides if we want. And so the whole point of me showcasing why MCP server is so important, especially in the personal daily life. This class was mainly for you to understand how AI works and how you can speed up your work at work, right? If you want to speed up, use AI at your work, you can. But I also think that AI has a lot of great personal use cases. And you can even speed up your own, maybe your boring task you have at home, or you have some monotonous task at home. If you want to do something, you can just use AI now for many things that you used to do and speed it up like that. Look, I don't even need to touch anything here. The slide deck is practically perfect for what I would be using it for. And there's so many integrations now, like with Google, you can have Nano Banana Pro to generate an image for me for the slide deck. So now everything is going towards that one user interface for all kind of world, the neural operating system world, where the operating system is not just filled with apps, it's filled with your AI, and your AI can serve you the apps that you need or do all the work for you. And generate those unique user interfaces for you, right? So there we go. We can obviously use this if we want. There we go, perfect. So now we have a great title slide, right? Any questions about all of this?
I have one question.
Sanskar, one question. So
okay,
since you talked about, Oh,
Go ahead.
okay, sorry. Okay, since you talked about Google Gemini Banana, can you explain more about that? I know it can create pictures and photos and whatever. Can you explain more about it? Just a little bit.
Yeah. So I don't have like a lot of knowledge on image generation. If I'm being honest, a lot of my work happens on the text side of things. But I know generally how image generation works. I don't know how Nano Banana got so good compared to everyone else. Nano Banana is by far the best image model anyone's ever seen. But the way that image generation models generally work is very similar to how text generation works. So if you think about it, text generation works with a lot of, it starts with one word, then choosing the next word, then choosing the next word. Image generation, to my knowledge, maybe you can chime in here and correct me if I'm wrong. But the way image generation works is when an AI is given a prompt, it first creates this really fuzzy image. And from this fuzzy image, it starts to sharpen the details about specific parts of the image. And it does it kind of like layer by layer through pixels and slowly, generatively, generates all the pixels for that image that it's trying to create by the prompt.
Yeah, so I think this was interesting to me too because I did some, open source work with Microsoft and I was working on integrating image model, but it's so the training of it is interesting. So like what they do is they basically, how we have images all over the internet with captions. So they trained, like basically made that a key value pair where the caption is what they learn as our natural language, and then the image becomes the image, right? So they ended up training the model. It's called diffusion, right? Like the diffusion technique is like it's very blurry at first, and then it is actually sculpting the image based on its memory of what it learned from looking at all the images and captions. So like think of you have a large marble or a large rock, and then you're sculpting it, right? So the blurry thing is like you start with a large rock and then it's trying to sculpt out the image based on its memory. So that's how image generation works. And the training of it is, again, very interesting. At first, it was okay, image and the caption and images. And then they did something weird where they just gave out a blurry thing and then and a caption, and then it started generating images out of it. Does that make sense? So whenever we see it, it's like it's actually AI painting the picture, or like even like I think sculpting is a better explanation.
Yeah,
like you start.
It's kind of like this, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yes. So it starts with this really blurry image, and then it starts sculpting it into something, right? So this is the the core of every diffusion or image model. This is the process, and then there's techniques around this process to make it better. So Nano Banana Pro, something at Google DeepMind, they figured something out to make that model extremely good. We used to say, oh, this picture is generated because we can see the text is all all messed up. But now if you generate an image with text in Nano Banana Pro, it looks perfect.
Right.
Like
right.
Yeah.
And the training, another key piece of this is they just did not train them to be like, okay, caption to image, but they also ended up doing like image back to like granular, like image back to blurriness. So the model gets trained both ways. So you go from granular like blurry image to a real image, and then the real image gets converted to granular image. And that somehow works. So that's the magic with neural networks. It just kind of works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just kind of throw things at the wall and see what happens.
Yeah.
Did that answer your question?
So would you answer
Yes, thank you.
your question? Yeah.
Okay. Ashish, did you have a question?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I have one that LLM calls the services it need, GitHub or any other. So how does that LLM decides which one to call? Is that, can you elaborate that one? Like, is there any formula like they will look at it, or what is the test cases for that one?
Yeah. So it comes down to the fundamentals of tool calling and prompting, right? So, for example, if I tell a model, I want a picture of a dog, then it's going to, maybe it does a tool call of generate image of dog. So because LLMs are able to understand our natural language, it's able to understand the focal point of what we're trying to say, like the meaning behind our sentence. It understands that. So remember back here in the example when I was talking about context 7, you see how I said I want to learn this thing, please use the context 7 MCP server. The best way, if you want a model to follow your tool calling, you need to mention the tool you want to use. Now, sometimes it can infer what tool it needs to use to do the job. Sometimes, but not all the time. And a good way of prompting such that you tell it what tool to use is give it the MCP server that you want it to use, or give it the tool that you want it to use. Mention it in your prompt. Because if you think about it like this, how LLMs think and generate text is kind of like a lossy compression. So all of these words we have in the prompt are in this space, and what LLMs are doing is kind of compressing it down. So if the word that is related to a tool is here, it's going to compress really fast into a tool call. So it understands, oh, I need to call this tool. It's part of my tool calling abilities. I can call this tool. In the system prompt for a model, it's going to say, you have access to these tools. You have access to this MCP server. You have access to this MCP server. You have access to this tool, yada, yada, yada. So when those things are mentioned to the model immediately understands, okay, I can use this tool because it was already mentioned to me in the prompt. And that's just because the model is able to understand the natural language. Right?
Okay, yeah, got it. Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, so anytime you're trying to use MCP servers, try to be as specific as possible. Sometimes they can get it right, sometimes it can get it wrong. For example, here I said list all the items on my desktop. I didn't say to use the file system MCP server, but it understood what MCP server to use. So there are sometimes it can just kind of infer, but it's always best to be as specific as you can. Okay? All right. Any questions about anything so far? Any more questions?
I have one question on that GPU laptop. So is there any recommendation or like a cheap laptops that we can get it? GPU cheap laptops, like affordable. I'm not saying cheap laptop, but affordable laptops.
To run models?
Yeah, just for like a DIY kind of thing. Do your own DIY, Home Depot.
So are you asking like to
Yeah,
code
if we have to
on?
do, yeah, for the coding, or like
Uh-huh.
making MCP server, or like all these projects. So what is the best DIY servers? Yeah, affordable
So okay,
recommendation I'm talking about.
yeah, okay. I mainly code on a Mac. I don't like coding on Windows. I code on Mac and Linux. I have Linux at home. So if the only thing is like on Mac, you can't really train models. I mean, the support is here, like you can train some models in Mac, but usually if you're going to train a model, you want to have an NVIDIA GPU, or you can pay a cloud provider like Llama. Or what are they called? They're not called Llama. They're called Lambda. So you could train models using the Lambdas, whatever. For a cheap laptop or affordable laptop or like device, if you want to just run models or do stuff on it, my top recommendation is the Mac Mini. This is not a laptop, but if you wanted to look into it, this thing has like 16 gigs of RAM. You can run pretty small models, and it would run really well. And the M4 chip is great. It's just this tiny like 6-inch box, and then it's a whole Mac computer. It's only, I think this is $500. So it's not that expensive for really good power. I think it's a really good price to performance. So yeah, it's 600, but if you sign up for student discount, which by the way, Apple does not check for student, like if you're a student or not, so you can just get student discount. This drops to $500. I think on Amazon it might be cheaper. Now if you don't want an M4 Mini, yeah, so you can get a 519 M4 Mini here. If you don't want a Mac Mini, then the closest other thing I would recommend to people is the MacBook Air M4. So you can get this thing for $750. There's no other laptop at this price that's as good as the MacBook Air, and you can code on it. It's it's in a Linux-like environment, so you're gonna have a pretty good time, and it runs smooth, really, really smooth. It's gonna last you a long time. But that's my recommendation. But the only reason I wouldn't choose those is if you rely on an app that only Windows supports. If that's the case, then you have to go with a Windows laptop. Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. Then in that case, do you guys want to move on to a Kahoot? We can end on a Kahoot. Have you guys, anyone, raise your hand if you've played Kahoot before?
Yeah, just once.
Everybody should be raising their hands because I did a Kahoot once.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna set up. So Kahoot is a little game we like to play at Everest IT. We do it across all of our classes. And it's basically allows us to, it's like a little fun quiz. It's nothing serious. We play like a little fun quiz to see, do you understand everything we did in class, or maybe, we can go over a few things, but it's also fun, and we can see who wins at the end, and it's really fun. So
can you
let's
give
do a round
a
of
couple of
Kahoot.
minutes?
Yeah, let's do a 5-minute break. How about that? Let's do a 5-minute
Okay.
break, and then when we come back, we can continue. That sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do a 5-minute break, guys. We'll be back. Oh, Ashish, what's your question?
Okay. That was from earlier.
Okay.
Please ignore.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's continue. Is everyone good to go? You guys ready? All right. I'm going to share the screen. And you guys can join the Kahoot. I will send the link as well so you can see. Here we go.
1 more minute.
Yeah, no worries.
1 more minute.
Yeah, no worries. Take your time. I'm gonna wait like 5 minutes for you guys to join the Kahoot. The link's in the chat if you want to join through that. I think we're waiting on one person. Subod, will you be joining us?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll give you about 2 more minutes.
Yeah, please.
Okay, let's get started. Ready? Okay, let's start. So the way it works, you'll be given a question, just try to choose the right answer. Okay? It's going to be most things we learned today, or throughout the course. So what is RAG in AI systems? So the name. Perfect. Yep. It is retrieval augmented generation. Well done. All right. So we have Babu, Sir, Top, Ashish, Ikesh, Subodh, and Ashok. All right. Let's see who wins. Let's keep going. Question 2. What does MCP stand for? Yes, it's Model Context Protocol. Not machine computing process, Model Context Protocol. All right. Let's keep going. Okay, we have Ashish in the lead. Question 3. True or false, an AI agent can take actions autonomously? It's true. Well done. Yeah, we made a lot of AI agents in this class, right? In Copilot Studio and Azure AI Foundry. So that's the whole purpose. So question 4. What is the primary purpose of fine-tuning? So think about it. Right, we went over this when we did Foundry. Yep, adapt to specific tasks. So remember when we had to fine-tune a model on stock information, because we're adapting it to specific tasks like retrieving stock information or maybe doing some math, right? So we use fine-tuning for those purposes. All right, let's keep going. Question 5. What is a vector database used for in AI? And then we went over this with Abhigya. I think he went over, right? Yep, storing semantic embeddings, right? So if you guys remember, vector database is used in RAG. So when you have a document and you want to store that document, you want to use it with AI, you store it in vector database, and the text is all chunked, and that chunks turn into embeddings, which basically capture the meaning of the sentence or word or paragraph of the text. That's why we have vector database. All right, let's go next. Question 6. True or false? ChatGPT can access real-time internet by default. So think about from LLM, just LLM, nothing else. It is false. So an LLM by itself, like ChatGPT, no systems, nothing, cannot access real-time information. Actually, the web search that you use in ChatGPT is an MCP server, or it's a tool. So it can call the web search results and then grab the web search results using a tool. So it's not by default. It does have to use a tool, right? Let's keep going. Next question. What does prompt engineering refer to? Let's see who can do it. Oh, okay, good job, you guys. Yep, crafting effective AI inputs. Very well done. You guys are going to be stellar AI engineers. All right, let's keep going. Next, question 8. What is the main benefit of RAG over standard LLMs? So think about it. Yep, it's access to current information. So if you remember that one time we talked about fine-tuning versus RAG. So fine-tuning, the benefit is you get speed, you get accuracy on the specific domain, but you don't get access to current information because you would need to keep retraining, right? That's super expensive. RAG, you can get current information because you can add information sources that are current into the RAG database, and it's super cheap to do, and you can just get access to that information. So that's why RAG has that main benefit over just having an LLM that's been trained. Question 9. What are tokens in the context of LLMs? We might have gone over this, I think. Yep, the units of text processed. Very well done. Good job. Let's keep going. Ashish is killing it. Good job. Let's keep going. Question 10. True or false? AI hallucination means the AI generates false information. Yep, it's true. So whenever AI hallucinates, it's just fake information it's trying to generate to try to answer your question. All right, let's keep going. Question 11. What is an AI embedding? So this is the stuff that goes into vector databases, right? Five seconds. Answer something. Yep, nice job. Numerical representation of data. So embedding is just a vector, which is like a matrix. It's basically like a matrix of numbers, and the numbers represent that data, okay? Which gives it the semantic meaning for the LLM. Let's keep going. Question 12. What does API stand for in AI context? You guys, I don't know if you guys know this. Maybe the engineers know this. Yep, application programming interface. This is more of developer focused question. All right, let's keep going. Question 13. True or false? Generative AI can create new content. Ooh, spicy question.
It's false.
Oh. Technically, it is false. Technically, it's false. But technically, it's also true. And here's why. It's technically false because LLMs can't create new content that it wasn't trained on, right? But when you give it context of new information that wasn't trained on, it can create new content. So
that was a tricky one.
yeah. So, and here's my argument. When we have the context 7 MCP server to get latest, code documentation, that code documentation is not trained in the model. Maybe we use like ChatGPT 5.1. I was trained like maybe 6 months ago. The new code documentation on React is not going to be part of that. But if we use something like Context 7 and give the latest up-to-date documentation, then it can code in that latest standard. So technically, it can create new content. It just needs to see that new content. But technically, it can't. So you have to kind of see the both things here. I argue it can. But there's also a valid argument as to it cannot create new content. So it's up to you.
Yet.
It will be able to probably, most likely. But right now, it just works on trained data. Okay. Let's keep going. Question 14. What is the context window in an LLM? Yep, it is the amount of text it can process. So when you look at a model like GPT 5.1, I think GPT 5.1 has a million token context window. And basically what that means is it's the amount of text it can process as well as output. So it needs to fit in that context window. So maybe you have context window of, let's say, 4,000 tokens. Let's just say for simplicity, it's 4,000 words. If you give the model 4,000 words, then it can't output anything because it has nothing left in context window. So everything needs to be in that size limit, right? I like to think of it as like, every day you start with a new context window as a person. You drink your coffee, you go work out, you go do your work for the day, then you come back from work, and then your context window got filled up by doing all that information or doing all that task, right? So LLMs kind of have that similar thing where they can only process so much text and conversation until they run out of context, right? So let's keep going. All right, almost end here. Oh, hold on, I can't pause. What is transfer learning in AI? We'll answer the question afterwards. Just try your best here. Yeah, really quickly, this transfer learning term is about using pre-trained models. But who had the question? I wanted to answer. I had to cut you off. My bad. Who had the question?
Oh, sorry. It was one question before that. I think I had the right answer, but it showed me wrong answer. I don't know why.
Oh, maybe it's, let's see, the amount of text it can process.
Yeah.
This one? Yeah.
The first one was the right time to respond was the right answer, right?
No, it was amount of text it can process.
Yep, that's what I answered. But why did it come?
Maybe you didn't respond in time. Maybe you tried to do last minute and then it didn't go through.
No, it happened to me also.
Yeah. I just took the screenshot of this question. See? So I answered this question, right? Can you see my screen?
That's the that's the screenshot of Sanskar's screen, but we don't know what you answered.
Oh.
Yeah.
No,
it doesn't tell us what you answered.
Yeah, I know, but I'm pretty sure I answered this question and this answer.
We can take a look after it's over. Like I'm gonna check on it myself. We can review it.
Okay.
And see what was the answer. Let's move on here. Janska, you're on mute, by the way.
Hello?
Yeah.
Can
We
you,
can hear you now.
can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, my AirPods, I don't know what happened there. So what was going on? I missed it.
Nothing. We can move on. Subhajit thing says he answered correctly, but it showed the wrong answer. We can review it after the Kahoot is over.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. True or false? LLMs understand this text the same way humans do. You guys should also see the question on your device.
You should share your screen again.
Yeah. I believe everyone can see the question on their device as well, so no worries. So LLMs understand text the same way humans do.
No.
Again, this is a little bit, they don't understand the text the same way we do, right? Again, the way that LLMs context, or the way they process input, we don't really do it the exact same way, right? As humans, we can take in so much input through many different sources, and we're able to, comprise it for whatever information we're looking for. LLMs, once they're given an input, they must give an output, and it's they do it in a different process than we do. So this is, Abigail, do you want to chime in on this?
Yeah, so remember, like for them, it's just tokens. So it's just floating numbers, right? It just floats.
Yep.
It's just numbers. It's not same as what we understand as language. Although we're trying to mimic that, it's just trying to predict the next token. And the tokens, it's trying to predict the next token using a cosine similarity or like attention mechanism, which is not the same as how we understand context. So it's trying to mimic intelligence, but it's not the same as humans.
Exactly. So LLMs don't understand words, they understand numbers, they understand embeddings. But they don't understand the way we understand information, which is like natively through text, natively through senses, natively through, all these different ways, right? Okay, any questions? Okay. The next question. All right. Last question. What is model temperature in AI? We went over this a few times.
Process speed. And use of process speed.
Is the randomness in output. And I like to think of this in a way. So you guys know how fire works, right? What happens when you have a fire that's at a low temperature? Maybe you have a little fire and then you have a lot of fire. One of the main things you can notice is the randomness of how that fire acts, right? Fire in nature is inherently random. How much it shoots up in the sky, how much it starts burning, there's a lot of randomness that goes into AI. So I guess we decided to name it temperature. What temperature does is it affects the amount of randomness we see in our output. And you can actually see this. If you want to go to Google AI Studio, you can play around with the temperature slider, and you can try something like give it a prompt and then give it in a high temperature and give it two prompts, and then do low temperature and do 2 prompts. You're going to see when you have a low temperature, the model outputs are very identical. When you have a high temperature, the responses are almost completely different. So there are varying amounts of randomness that each LLM has, and you can tune the temperature of it to get a number of randomness. And you might be wondering, like, why would you do this? There are sometimes you want a low temperature if you want a base ground kind of answer. If you want high temperature, you're going to get more varying types of answers. You're going to get more different types of outputs. Maybe you want different types of style of outputs. Maybe you want different, context of outputs. So some models have higher temperature than others. I think ChatGPT has a pretty high temperature for a model, and something like Claude has a pretty low temperature. From what I've noticed, one model acting differently from others. You kind of notice the randomness factor. The more you use them, you can kind of guess where the temperature kind of lies between 0 and 1. Yeah. All right. Any questions? Last questions? Okay. All right. Let's
on temperature, there is one interesting factor. I think Microsoft's AI Foundry, the Azure AI Foundry, it defaults to 1. And that's, I think it's because like the temperature range is actually 0 to 2 instead of just 0 to 1.
Yeah.
And they don't let us go above 1 because after that it's just too much hallucination, right? Too much randomness. But so like 1 is like the perfect default according to Microsoft.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Very true. All right. All right. And let's see who won. All right. So we see the podium. Number 3, we have Ikesh. Congratulations, Ikesh. Second place, we have Ashok. Congratulations, Ashok. And first place goes to Ashish. Congratulations, Ashish. Very well done.
Congratulations.
We have BBK, which is Bish, and then we have Subod, 5th place. Good job, you guys. Well done. Proud of you guys. You guys did really well on this quiz. So this kind of went over everything we learned in class. So, before we end today's class, I would just like to say thank you for joining, and thank you for being part of this entire AI journey. Thank you for letting us figure out, the ways that we can help you learn AI and the different ways you can experience it. Hopefully this class gives you a lot of experience, and now you have knowledge of how to utilize AI, not only in your professional life, but also in your daily life to best utilize and be able to make sure that you can drive the most impact wherever you do. AI is truly a fundamentally crazy innovation that we've all had across this time period, and for what it's good and what it's bad, there's a lot of things you can do with it and a lot of things that are changing every day. If you ever want to contact me, at least me or Avigya, we will be here for your questions regarding any AI topic you have. We are very thankful for you to join us in this class, and also I loved teaching this class. So thank you for giving me a platform to be able to express my knowledge, as well as showing you guys the truly innovative capabilities of AI and what's here today. Subal, did you have a question?
Yeah, Sanskar. So what's your next move in terms of AI?
So, AI is changing all the time, but one of the things I'm learning right now and exploring is code interpretation. So I think the thing I showed yesterday with optimizing tool calling with code and interpretation. So having AI models generate their own code and run in sandboxes. That's something I'm investigating right now and seeing, investigating and working on my own thesis. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. Abigail, do you want to?
Yeah, and another big thing that I see, and Sanskar has been heavily working on this as well, is large language or small language models in mobile applications. So right now everything is big, right? Like we are in this Charles Babbage supercomputer, big devices kind of mode. You need large amount of GPUs to process everything. But I think maybe the narrative will shift next year, where everybody will be talking about mobile large language models.
Yep.
And even just modular large language models, and OpenAI might come up with a device, Apple might come up with a device which is small, but it has the greatest AI out there in the world. So I think that narrative is going to build over next year or two, and robotics might also have some sort of breakthrough. So let's say as of now, AI is all like intelligence being in a way like as a knowledge worker, right? Like it has all the knowledge that there is, but now we haven't been able to move it up to the physical world. It's all digital right now. And so now the interconnection between the digital and physical world will be a game changer. And like Elon Musk says, it might be the post-work era coming, but it might take 20 years, but that will be the first step towards it, where nobody has to work anymore.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Sanskar, so recently your CEO, Sundar Pichai, he told vibe coding made easy. Can you please elaborate on that one? If you have
Vibe
some
coding
idea.
made it easy.
Yeah.
So I think we're in this world where everyone earlier this year were worried about their software engineering jobs. I think after this year has passed and seeing all the innovations, I feel even stronger about software engineering. And not only that, but with vibe coding. And I think there's a point in time right now where vibe coding and software engineering are two different things. Where it's actually
First
the
of all, can
benefits.
you please tell us what vibe coding is? Sorry.
Oh yeah, so if you don't know, so vibe coding is basically like kind of what we did to last week, where we went into Google AI Studio to make websites. That's a level of vibe coding, right? Where we are able to just create websites or experiences or apps strictly through natural language. And it's become this really popular trend where people of non-technical backgrounds can now create their own apps and create their own websites and serve it to themselves or serve it to others. And the really great thing about vibe coding is now more and more people are coming into the world of software engineering, and vibe coding isn't perfect. Maybe one day it will be, but the way I see it is vibe coding is actually a really good thing for software engineering because it's bringing more people to the field. It's bringing more people that maybe didn't have the resource or maybe didn't have like the necessary knowledge or where to start, but or maybe not even the necessary like reason, but vibe coding is now that reason, or vibe coding is now that stepping stone to be able to help people go into coding and be able to actually create these websites and experiences. So it's a really cool thing. I see lots of people, even my own peers that are not in computer science or software engineering, now be able to vibe code their own things, and we all get to live in this nice harmony. And software engineers are still needed. We still are working on the core products that vibe coding, maybe not able to step up to that standard quite yet. Maybe one day in the future, but I think it's a really good feature where we have these two separate things and these two different, parts of the overall coding space.
Yeah, and like Sanskar said, the good example is last week we saw, I think one of you guys built a whole website where we could add things to the cart, process the credit card, and actually put in an order, right? And that's coming from a non-technical background person. And what you can do is just build things. And I think Subodhi, I don't know if it was you or somebody else who did a real time, I think it was Babuji, real time data from different stores, right? Or with the graph and everything, which is pretty good. So like when I was doing my undergrad, my computer science teacher asked me like, okay, why are you studying computer science, right? And then I told him I really like the idea that we can imagine something and then turn it into a reality. And then he told me, oh, but you have to code it first, right? But now I don't have to code it first. Like AI will code it for me. Like he pointed it out as if like, coding is the challenge. Yeah, you can imagine things and then you can turn it into the reality, but coding the garnu paranta. But now that obstacle is out. And this was only 10 years ago, right? Now I can just imagine things and then it can get created like almost within 5 minutes. Like a prototype will be creating in 5 minutes. And that enables a whole lot more like productivity and just I think it's overall like uplifting the society and the world altogether.
Yeah. Totally agree. So we'll be here for maybe a couple more minutes. If you guys have any questions, this is now the end of class discussion. So if you have any questions for either of us, please let us know.
Yeah, Sanskar, I think since this is our last class, we have a few more questions, I guess. What is going to be in terms of YouTube, in terms of AI universe? What's going to happen? YouTube.
I don't really know.
I think it will stay. Like people need entertainment. But
Yeah,
we're probably gonna see a lot more like AI creators. Like people will be using AI to create a lot more videos.
Yeah, I will be honest with you guys. I'm not always positive about AI. One of the things that I really don't like about AI is video AI. So, I think it's inevitable we will see AI creators, and I mean this stuff is already happening. If you can see on Instagram, you can see on TikTok, there's tons of AI video, especially created by Sora. So we'll see. My perspective is it's very innovative in a way, and I think people do enjoy it, but there is a certain novelty that wears off. And I find I pull this from the users on Sora. The user base of Sora has declined significantly since Sora has come out as an app, which gives me a little bit of hope. But there is still my worry that video generation is going to be used for the wrong reasons. So I'm going to stay optimistic, but we'll see.
Just to add to that, I do think like if I had to make one predictions, I think the live events, where we go see like live concert, live entertainment, they will be more expensive now because it's a premium, it's a luxury good. You can like and people will like probably not go to them as much because they can just create their own, like they can imagine, okay, I want this kind of TV series, let me just create it, right? I want this kind of video, let me just prompt it, and then the video will be available. So they might not go to these like live stuff anymore, but if they do, it'll be a luxury good.
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
Yeah. I think Ashokji had a question.
I have a few questions then. इजी टु अब हामीले एआई सिक्यो होइन अब हामी त बेसिक सिकिरहेछौँ नि अब यो एआई त एभ्री डे अपडेट भइरहेछ नयाँ नयाँ आएको छ अब हामी चाहिँ कहाँ चाहिँ जाने के गर्ने जुन चाहिँ हामी एउटा फ्लोमा बग्नुपर्छ नि अब जस्तै समयसँगै हामी पनि जान सकोस् त्यो चाहिँ के गर्दाखेरि ठिक होला किनभने अब हामी त अफिसमा काम गर्दैनौँ होइन पर्सनलमा पनि त्यति युज हुँदैन तर इन्ट्रेस्ट छ तर यसलाई कसरी हामी चाहिँ त्यहीसँगै हिँड्ने कि अब किनभने त्यो त धेरै नै छ सबै चिज त हाम्रो डेली लाइफमा युज हुँदैन होइन अब त्यसलाई चाहिँ के गरेर चाहिँ हामी सँगसँगै हिँड्न सक्छौँ कसरी
Sanskar, I'll go first and then you can. So फर्स्टमा चाहिँ म के सजेस्ट गर्छु भन्दाखेरि युज हुँदैन भन्नु पनि युज गर्न थालौँ अब अझै एक्टिभली होइन आफूले नै प्रोएक्टिभली नै एआई हरेक पार्ट अफ लाइफमा इन्टिग्रेट गर्न थालौँ होइन अब पहिले गुगल सर्च गरिन्थ्यो या केही गरिन्थ्यो या क्वेसन अब मान्छेलाई सोध्नुको साथ पहिले एआईलाई सोध्न थालौँ होइन अब पहिले कस्तो हुन्थ्यो भन्दाखेरि अब धेरै अगाडिको कुरा हो दिस इज लाइक 12-13 इयर्स अगो म युएसमा भर्खर गएको बेलामा 15 इयर्स अगो चाहिँ मेरो भाइले मलाई फोन गरेर सोध्थ्यो क्या के भन्छ दादा यसको स्पेलिङ के हो भनेर होइन अनि त्यो भनेको अनि म भन्थेँ गुगल गर न अनि अब त्यो बानी नै थिएन नि त होइन यो स्पेलिङ मेरो यो एसए लेख्दैछु यसको स्पेलिङ के हो भनेर त नेपालदेखि युएस कल आउँथ्यो अनि अब त्यस्तै भनेर अब अहिले चाहिँ जुन हाम्रो ह्याबिट्स छ जहाँ चाहिँ हामीले एआई इन्टिग्रेट गरिरहेको छैनौँ मेबी एआई युज गर्न थालेपछि त्यो 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 सबै वर्क नै इजी हुँदै जान्छ क्या अब एआईले हरेक फिल्ड डिस्टर्ब गर्छ नो म्याटर वाट यहाँ हाम्रो विराटनगरको टुकटुके पनि एक दिन आफै कुद्न थाल्छ क्या होइन अब त्यो त्यसैले गर्दाखेरि त्यो आफूले नै एक्टिभली गर्नु पर्यो, त्यसमा सुरुमा बानी बसाल्नु पर्यो अप टु डेट हुनलाई। अनि संस्कारले सेयर गरे जस्तै यसो गुगलमा गएर एआई न्युज भनेर मात्र गुगल गर्नुभयो भने त्यसमा आउँछ, नभए च्याट जिपिटीमै गएर ओके वाट्स द लेटेस्ट एआई न्युज फर टुडे भनेर तपाईँले हेर्नुभयो भने त्यो त्यो दिनको 5 मिनट्सको टाइम हो, 5 मिनट्सको टाइममा यसो अप टु डेट भइराखिन्छ। सो आफूले एक्टिभली गर्नु पर्यो। अनि इभेन्चुली अब आफूले नै प्रोएक्टिभ भयो भने बेनिफिट के हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि केही नयाँ ट्रेन्ड आयो भने त्यसमा हामीले क्यापिटलाइज गर्न मिल्छ क्या। ओके मसँग चाहिँ यो ट्यालेन्ट छ, यो स्किल सेट छ, आई क्यान बी युजफुल भनेर आफूलाई सेल गर्न सक्यो होइन। तर अब इभेन्चुली एआई इज गर्न डिस्टर्ब एभ्रिथिङ। सबैले बाध्यताको हिसाबले पनि सिक्नै पर्छ। अनि त्यो त्यो अब त्यही लहरमा जाला जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई चाहिँ। तर त्यही त आफूले अप टु डेट हुनको लागि चाहिँ जस्ट इन्टरेक्ट विथ एआई 5 to 10 minutes per day, at least 10 minutes a day. ChatGPT-सँग टाइम दिनुस्।
I have another one question. So, अब यो अब हाम्रो कोर्स त सक्यो होइन, अब त्यो पेड भर्सनले पनि त्यति त उ गर्दैन। तर अब जस्तै हामीले अब प्र्याक्टिकल्ली योभन्दा अझ इन्हेन्स हुँदै जान कोसिस गर्नको लागि जस्तै यस्तो फ्रिलान्स गर्ने ठाउँ केही छ कि जुन चाहिँ हामीले दिनमा 2-3 घन्टा दिएर कोहीसँग इन्टरेक्ट गरेर यही सम्बन्धी जस्तै को पाइलटमा अलिकति एक्सपर्ट जस्तै एजुर एआईमा भयो होइन, जस्तै अरूमा केही छ कि जस्तै अब हामीले पैसाको लागि नगरे पनि जस्ट अझ इन्हेन्समेन्ट हुँदै
हो। के भन्छ हजुरको एजर एआईको सर्टिफिकेसन, यु क्यान लुक एट एजर एआई सर्टिफिकेसन्स होइन। अनि त्यो अनलाइन सर्च गर्नुभयो भने चाहिँ आई थिङ्क देयर इज वान सर्टिफिकेसन राइट नाउ। एउटा कि दुईवटा सर्टिफिकेसन छ। त्यो सर्टिफिकेसनको लागि तपाईँले प्रिपेयर गरेर इक्जाम दिएर पास गर्नुभयो भने यु क्यान एक्चुली पुट द्याट इन यर रेजुमे। अनि त्यसपछि जस्तै फ्रिल्यान्सिङ गर्ने अपवर्क अनि के अरू कम्पनीहरू छन् होइन, त्यहाँनिर सर्टिफिकेसन लिएर आई क्यान हेल्प भनेर भन्नुभयो भने मेबी यु क्यान गेट दि अपर्च्युनिटिज देयर।
त्यो युडेमीमा सर्टिफिकेसन कोर्स भन्ने छ, मैले अस्ति हेरेको थिएँ।
कोर्स भन्नाले होइन, कोर्सले होइन, कोर्स भन्दा पनि यु निड द सर्टिफिकेसन। कोर्सले लिने कि सर्टिफिकेसन एक्जाम चाहिँ लिने हो क्या। अनि त्यो सर्टिफिकेसन एक्जाम दिनुभयो भने चाहिँ इट विल बी हेल्पफुल तपाईँको। इट विल प्रुभ द्याट तपाईँलाई आउँछ। तर त्यो सर्टिफिकेसन एक्जाम चाहिँ अब एज अ एआईकै गर्नुभयो भने हामीले सिकेको भन्दा अझै अलिकति एडभान्स हुन्छ। तपाईँले टाइम दिनुपर्छ त्यसमा। तर बट द्याट्स अ गुड नेक्स्ट स्टेप। Prepare for Azure AI certification. Sanskar, anything to add?
No, that was pretty good. I would also say that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. This will think we have a couple more minutes for questions, and then we'll
I
drop
have
this.
one.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Sanskar, I think it's for you. There are different levels of like maybe I'm like certain level in one organization, like level 34, 36, 40, 50, 60. Most probably the people who are in the upper lines, they are just going to see the reports, right? Like 40 plus, maybe they are just going to see the reports, managers and CEO or CTO, whatever. How about below that? Like QA, BA, or just young software developers who just joined the company, how they can copy these things?
I think Abhigya might be able to answer this question better.
I can try. I think so. Yeah, it's gonna be like, okay, what are you doing? Let's say you're in a salesperson, right? Or like, let's say you're a QA. You're a QA person. Now you need help debugging or testing certain systems. Now you can, and then you run into a problem. Okay, so now you have to write a report. That's a QA has to write a report. Now you can leverage AI. Okay, this is the error I'm getting. How can I report this to the program manager, software engineer, whatever? Then now you have AI that are just helping you out. It could be a co-pilot. It could be a ChatGPT enterprise. It could be any of those, whichever your business is using. And also another good use case is now you can add a knowledge base. So like everything that you have learned so far, all the documentations, you can put it in one system or one directory somewhere, and your AI will be able to read that. This is again implementation of RAG in your workforce. So different jobs will have different use cases, right? Salespeople, maybe it's just emails, and then now AI will help you write emails. Marketing people, if they're doing phone calls, like the phone call script itself, like, oh, what am I supposed to talk about for this individual? Okay, I'm about to call this person. How can I market it to them, right? And that the call script can be generated by AI, and they can use it. So there's use for technical and non-technical workers using AI. And if
I also think
CEOs are
that
seeing the reports, you can make the report even more better. Let's say if you did not know how to do charts and stuff, or just data, if you're just doing data entry, now you can use AI to do some sort of chart, some sort of comparison, some sort of pattern recognition, right? You can do data sciencey stuff even though you don't have data science knowledge. Does that make sense?
I also think pulling from like live events right now, like Meta inside their company, I mean, they're quite large org, but they're having a lot of employees. He's saying that if you don't use AI, speed up your own work, it's not going to be, it's not going to be nice, in their own terms, I guess. So it's not just like some companies, they force you to use AI, some companies don't. And I think it's in general, whatever the case might be, AI is going to help you, right, do your work, right? It's not really, you can impress your cohort, you can impress your peers, you can impress your manager, but ultimately we want you to use AI to help you, to make sure that you can get your work done most efficiently as possible, be able to use the latest technology and be able to keep up with that as well. So the more AI that you can get used to, the more you can adapt your existing workflow to using more AI, the better, because that's kind of what companies are really looking for nowadays, including software engineers, by the way. I know a lot of resumes now from software engineers that specifically have AI tooling, and then they'll mention like Cursor, Claude Code, Klein, Rue, whatever they use, as part of their now like resume, because that's what companies are looking for. They're looking for not only software engineers, but anyone to be powered by AI and be able to do their work much more efficiently and faster and higher quality, right?
So, Sanskar, what do you think about universities? Have Do they have any AI courses these days? Because I'm not up to date.
At least not
like
mine.
If you are going to
No.
like in person, not online.
No,
I
I mean,
think they have not caught up.
No.
हामीले
Here,
पढाइ जस्तो पढाउँदैनन्.
You can see I'm actually in university right now, teaching this whole class. But in my experience, I'm doing my master's here. We've had one LLM course, but it wasn't even like teaching you about how LLMs work. It was like showing us YouTube videos and then us writing summaries. So it wasn't, universities move very slowly, at least in
No,
mine.
but
A lot
they
of
sell,
do.
but they sell online courses like, UT
Yeah, I mean,
Austin or Texas A&M or whatever, MIT,
Yeah, I mean, you'll find courses wherever you want. Now, it's up to you based on what you want to learn from those courses, and how you think it's going to benefit you, right? Ashok, what's your question?
No, I mean, they do have like, 8
sorry.
to 9 months of course, AI course, AI and data science, whatever, blended everything, or just AI courses. All of the course top universities in Coursera.
So yeah, from my experience चाहिँ के हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि they teach you all the theoretical stuff. So like you will know everything about AI. You'll know how large language models work. Just like we shared the video with Andre Karpati, earlier on. So maybe they'll double click on every step of the way. But I highly, highly doubt that some university is going to give you a license on Copilot Studio and then teach you as a Copilot. Like the actual real world enterprise solution, I highly doubt any university will give you that exposure. They'll give you like the theoretical knowledge, but they will not tell you how it is out in the real world.
Yeah. I'll very much agree with this. Again, like there was an AI course at my university, and it was purely theoretical. And that's also a lot of things with like even with top universities, you're gonna find a lot of theoretical knowledge. So if you want to learn how to utilize AI effectively, I don't think those courses are going to do much. I think those courses what they're excelling in is teaching you the fundamentals as well as like in-depth knowledge of that. So if you want to learn how LLM works deep inside, or if you want to learn how a RAG works in all of its different forms, or if you want to learn how MCP works and how it's used in agent, like really deep knowledge, and theoretical knowledge, not very practical knowledge, I think those courses are great. But again, it's dependent on what you need, what you want, and whatever you think will like fit your use case, whatever you want to go for, like learning practical knowledge, like how we do here, or you want to go learn how these systems are built from ground up, or if you want to learn how they're coded or whatever that is, then maybe university would be a better fit.
So Sanskar,
It's all
one
dependent on what you
personal
want.
question. So like maybe after a couple of months we won't have access to the videos or whatever, but we want to learn AI and someone wants to teach us. You want to prefer like Udemy, Coursera courses, like just to get along with it?
I think you guys have enough knowledge. Like right now, I think you guys are pretty up to date with the AI knowledge in broad terms. I think from this point on, to be honest, like you can do a lot of really good self-learning. You've kind of gone over the hill of how long it takes to learn AI or how difficult it might be. Now, of course, there's more detail you can learn. There's more in-depth knowledge you can gain. But in terms of like learning more, you guys are pretty much on the forefront. So what I would actually recommend is take the knowledge you took from this class, apply it to your own workflow, and do something similar like create a Copilot agent or agent in ChatGPT, wherever you want to create it, and have it serve you latest AI news, latest AI architecture, and be proactive. I think the best way you're going to learn any AI or anything in general is being proactive in that field. So while you could sign up for more courses, while you could go and learn from like a university course or even Everest IT, whatever it is, you will learn best if you are proactive every day to learn the latest in the technology space. And that's how you can like keep yourself up to date. Is you have to be proactive every day about it. Just like how I was sharing the knowledge with you today and yesterday, there's always new knowledge coming out every day. You just have to go and seek it. It's just one Google search away. It's just one ChatGPT search away. And the more you stay active with it, the more you're going to retain that knowledge and stay invested in being able to even grow your knowledge in a depth sort of way, right?
Yeah. And you can use it in everyday life. होइन मैले अब एक्जाम्पल चाहिँ अस्ति बिहेको बेलामा I had to manage inventory of alcohol. है अनि what I did is के भन्छ just open up ChatGPT voice mode and I said okay, this is I have 14 bottles of Chivas Regal, I have 5 bottles of double black, I have 10 bottles of wine, and I just said it out loud as I saw it, and then I said okay, give me a table format, how much I have. I think give me in a just manage my inventory for me. And it gave me a nice tabular format. And then I was like, okay, you know what? I need to send it to my group in WhatsApp. Give me in WhatsApp format. And then it just gave me in WhatsApp format. And then I just shared with my people, right? And you can use AI in everything. Right? And this is now I was looking at decoration and ChatGPT को camera on गरेर okay, how does this color theme look? होइन यो राम्रो छ कि छैन, यो color theme ठिक छ कि छैन, does it complement each other? You can do AI in everything. अनि so just use it. That's my recommendation. Just use it.
I 100% agree. The more you use, the more you stay proactive. That's the best way to learn.
Yeah, big. So I'm from Biratnagar. I never got invited, or my people ever got invited.
Oh no, खै त मैले I was telling you आउनु भनेर त बाबुजी पनि आउनु भएको थियो कि अरे विराटनगर खै त यस्तो बिजी भए म यस्तो बिजी भए सो के भयो भन्दाखेरि 3 things happened के एट द सेम टाइम बाबुलाई मेरो छोरोलाई चाहिँ पर्यो 102 fever for like 4 to 5 days अनि त्यो बेला हाम्रो घर पनि मुभ इन हुने भयो त्यही बेलामा लाइक हाम्रो बिहाभन्दा एक दिन अगाडिसम्म 50-60 जना मिस्त्री थियो यहाँ घरमा होइन एन्ड वी वान्टेड टु डु द वेडिङ फ्रम द हाउस अनि त्यसपछि त्यो सबै घर म घरबाट ननिस्किकन होइन म घरबाट बाहिर ननिस्किकन पनि मेरो डेली स्टेप्स वुड बी 16,000 किनभने त मिस्त्रीहरूलाई काम लगाउँदै होइन विदाउट इभन लिभिङ द हाउस अन द डे अफ द रिसेप्सन पार्टी माई स्टेप्स वाज 24,000 है त्यो यताउति म्यानेज गर्दै गर्दै यस्तो बिजी भयो नेपाल आएको लगभग 3 months भयो होइन आई हेभ नट गन एनीवेयर मैले केही रमाइलो गरेको छैन यो पुरै बाबु घर र बिहे द्याट्स अल मैले अहिले गरेको
हाम्रो प्रिभियस क्लासमा ललन जी पनि आउने भन्नुहुन्थ्यो होइन भेट्ने भन्नुहुन्थ्यो नि होइन ललन
हो तर त्यही त कसैसँग पनि कन्ट्याक्ट भएन मैले इन्भाइट चाहिँ गरेको थिएँ इन अ सेन्स अब तपाईँहरूलाई यतिकै आउनु है भनेर तर यस्तो बिजी भयो कि मैले मिस गरेँ होला उतातिर रोशना म्यामलाई चाहिँ मैले भनेको थिएँ सबैलाई इन्भाइट गरिदिनु है भनेर उहाँले गरिदिनु भयो क्या तर हजुरहरू मिस हुनुभयो कि जस्तो लाग्यो
होइन म नेपाल चाहिँ आएको थिइनँ तर मैले यति होइन म विराटनगर भएर भनेको तपाईँको कुन एरिया
मलाई थाहा थिएन म भर्खर थाहा पाउँदैछु तपाईँ विराटनगरको भनेर
तपाईँ कुन एरिया सरी
अहिले हामी कञ्चनबारी सर्यौँ पहिले चाहिँ मुनालपथ
ए मुनालपथ त नजिक हो त
उता विराट नर्सिङ होम नजिकै मुनालपथ भन्दा पनि अझै यता सम्झना चौक जाने बाटो
सम्झना चोकमा मेरो घर थियो पहिला म जन्मेको हुर्केको
ए इन्ट्रेस्टिङ
ल पछि कुराहरुलाई यसो
हुन्छ हुन्छ ओके ओके वी हेभ 2 more questions मलाई पनि जानु छ आज फेरि जनकपुर पुग्नु छ
I have 2 questions. Okay. म चाहिँ अब आइटी फिल्डको होइन म चाहिँ आइटी फिल्डमा मेरो करियर बनाउन चाहन्छु होइन जस्तै भएर मैले चाहिँ जेआर टु आइटी क्लास जोइन पनि गरेको छु अब फ्युचरमा मैले आइटीलाई नै प्रोफेसन बनाउने सोच छ भने मैले डिग्रीहरू पनि लिनुपर्छ कि के गर्नु पर्ला
पर्दैन
जबहरू जाँदा स्किलले मात्र पुग्छ
हजुर तपाईको 0 to IT क्लास गर्नुस् 0 to IT ले हजुरलाई एन्ट्री गर्छ हैन यु विल गेट एन एन्ट्री लेभल जब सो दैट विल ओपन द डोर फर यु अनि त्यसपछि एआई को पनि गर्दै गर्नु अब 0 to IT मा पनि जुन चाहिँ नेटवर्किङ क्लाउड इन्जिनियरिङ हुन्छ यु विल बी युजिङ एआई इन दैट एज वेल हैन जस्तै यो कोपाइलट त्यो 0 to IT कोर्स सकाएपछि नि कोपाइलट को इट विल मेक मोर सेन्स अझै है अनि कोपाइलट स्टुडियोतिर अनि तपाईहरुको कोपाइलट स्टुडियोको इन्टिग्रेसनको लागि मात्र 6 फिगरको जागिर हुन्छ क्या इभेन्चुअली हैन अनि सो आई थिंक दैट्स द राइट पाथ सो 1 year from now you will be very happy if तपाईले हार्ड वर्क गर्नु पर्यो 0 to IT इज नट इजी हैन तर पिपल मलाई थाहा छ म पनि पहिले चाहिँ हेल्प गर्थे हैन अनि सर मलाई त फेसबुक बाहेक केही चलाउनै आउँदैन मलाई त इङ्ग्लिस बोल्न पनि आउँदैन हैन केही गर्नै आउँदैन मैले पढ्दा हुन्छ भनेर आउनुहुन्थ्यो क्या संविधासँग अनि त्यसपछि नाउ दे आर डुइङ अमेजिङ
ओके थ्याङ्क यू त्यही एउटा दुईटै एन्सर भयो थ्याङ्क यू
हजुर बाबुजी
पहिला त यहाँहरूलाई थ्याङ्क यू सो मच है अब इट वाज वन्डरफुल जर्नी हामीले धेरै हाम्रो साइडबाट एकदम कम इनपुट भएको फिल हुन्छ मलाई आफूलाई मेरो आफ्नै कुरा गर्दा पनि डिस्पाइट त्यो लिमिटेसन्स भए पनि आई थिङ्क वी लर्न समथिङ होइन अब फ्युचरमा कहाँ कति के गर्ने भन्ने कुरा त आफ्नै कुरा हो होइन कसको रिक्वायरमेन्ट के छ भन्ने कुरा त वी डोन्ट नो होइन वेल्स फार्गोको बारेमा मलाई थाहा होला अर्को साथीहरू काम गर्ने उहाँहरूलाई थाहा होला तर इट वाज वन्डरफुल लर्निङ अनि मेरो क्वेसन भन्दा पनि सिम्पल आई थिङ्क इट्स अलरेडी एन्सर्ड कि अप टु दिस पोइन्ट हामी यहाँ जहाँ छौँ होइन फ्रम दिस पोइन्ट अनवर्ड्स चाहिँ यहाँहरूको रिकमेन्डेसन काइन्ड लाइक टु बी अपडेटेड इन एआई भन्ने नै थियो मेरो क्वेसन चाहिँ आई थिङ्क इट्स अलरेडी बिन एन्सर्ड
अझै टेक्निकल भन्यो भने चाहिँ आई वुड से लर्निङ बाई डुइङ किन भन्दाखेरि अब एज अ एआई फाउन्ड्रीको सरी आई मिस्ड होइन 2-3 क्लास मिस भयो मेरो सो आई थिङ्क इफ यु जस्ट किप अन बिल्डिङ स्टफ होइन तपाईँले जाने ह्यान्ड्स अन गर्ने देयर आर ट्युटोरियल्स आउट देयर देयर आर डकुमेन्टेसन्स आउट देयर अनि त्यही फलो गर्ने अनि ओके मेरो लाइफमा के डिफिकल्ट छ के पेन पोइन्ट छ त त्यसलाई टक्क एआई युज गरेर रिजल्भ गर्न खोज्ने क्या होइन त्यो भयो भने चाहिँ आई थिङ्क इट विल बी इनफ अनि त्यही एआईको न्युजसँग किप अप गर्ने एन्ड जस्ट किप अन बिल्डिङ थिङ्स किनभने नाउ यु हेभ अल द टुल्स यु निड टु बिल्ड थिङ्स होइन हामीले तपाईँहरूलाई काँटी र हतौडा दिइसक्यो all you have to do is talk to Bora. Right?
So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, संस्कारलाई चाहिँ धेरै धेरै बधाई छ. We are really proud. होइन हाम्रो क्लास सकेपछि भयो भनेदेखि चाहिँ maybe we won't even know unless we went to check into your LinkedIn profile, we wouldn't know. So thank you so much for sharing पनि अनि best wishes. राम्रो गर्नु होला. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Abhigay sir, कति बस्नुहुन्छ उता नेपालमा?
I'll be back December 22. So December 18 मा मेरो flight छ काठमाडौँबाट अनि will be in Tokyo for 3 days. अनि December 22 मा चाहिँ will be in LA.
That's fun.
Yeah, we'll be in Tokyo for 3 days.
31st मा म पनि नेपाल आउँदै थिएँ कि अनि
ए त मिस
वी भन्नाले तपाईको सबै फ्यामिली
हजुर me my wife and छोरो तीनजना.
No. Okay, guys, I have to drop off.
Yeah, Sanskar.
I have some late night class I need to attend, but it was very nice seeing all of you guys. Thank you so much for coming to our class. If you have any question, again, videos will be coming soon. We will distribute that to you guys of all the class recordings, as well as you can keep my team's contact. If you have any question about anything, just message me, feel free. I will respond to you in due time. And it was very, very nice to have you guys here. Thank you for being part of the first AI class here. We'll be making lots of improvements based on your feedback. Always, be connected with Everest IT, be connected with us. You guys now have history with us. So thank you so much for being part of it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank
you.
You guys
have a great night.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
I'll be here for 1 minute. Any question or else I'll drop. Sanskar, you can go. Thanks.
Abhi guys, send you some messages.
Okay, I'll take a look.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else?
Okay. Pushing the keys. I just want to thank you, Abhigya and Sanskar and Sabir sir.
No, thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for being the part of the class.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone. Have a good day. All questions, someone you can message me.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care.